Chapter 53:17 Floated in the air. Master Liao's heart sank. Why were the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace here? Could it be that they were here for Yunchujo? He couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, the ring that Yunchujo was wearing at this moment was of a higher grade than the previous one. Even the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace might not be able to see through it. Yunchujo's eyes were deep. People from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace? The culprit who imprisoned her parents? She wanted to see for herself. At this moment, Master Xuanji hurriedly said, "Everyone, quick, follow me out to welcome the lords of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall." Only then did everyone wake up from their dreams. They followed Master Xuanji out of the meeting hall. Not long after everyone walked out, they saw 3 monks walking over. What surprised everyone was that the 3 monks were actually floating in the air. Although they were only 1 foot above the ground, it was still shocking enough. It must be known that the people of the heavy cloud continent could only fly by relying on spirit tools, but these 3 monks could actually fly without relying on anything. It was really shocking. Among the 3 monks, 1 walked in the front, while the other 2 were half a step behind. Obviously, the monk in front had a higher status. The 3 people didn't have any expression on their faces, but if one looked closely, one would see the disdain and arrogance hidden in their eyes. In their eyes, the people of the Chongshao continent were no different from ants. If it wasn't for the higher-ups' instructions, they wouldn't have come to this inferior continent where the spiritual and Buddhist powers were both poor. Master Xuanji was the first to kneel on the ground, and the others could only follow suit. Yunchujo curled her lips. This Xianji's bones were really soft. He hadn't done anything yet, but he had already knelt down. Goei Batsao didn't have the moral integrity of a human, so it didn't feel any psychological burden and also knelt down. When the 3 monks of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall saw that everyone was kowtowing, the disdain in their eyes became even more intense. The monk in the lead said indifferently, "All of you, stand up." Only then did Master Xuanji stand up, and then said in fear and trepidation, "May I know how to address the 3 eminent monks?" "This penniless monk Yin Chang, this is Yin Zhao, Yin Su, 2 junior brothers." Yin Chang still said indifferently. "So it's Master Yin Chang, Master Yin Zhao, Master Yin Su. The 3 masters, please come in." Master Xuanji said respectfully. The 3 people didn't stand on ceremony, and walked past the crowd to the front of the meeting hall. Master Xuanji gave the main seat to Yin Chang, and as for him and the others, they stood respectfully to the side, not even daring to sit down. How could Goei Batsao know that there were twists and turns here? It plopped down on its original seat. Master Liao's sweat immediately broke out, and he glared at it. Goei Batsao only then realized and stood up. It was over. It was 80% likely that it was in trouble again. How could it have such a tough life? It was fine that it accidentally injured the smelly girl in the battle, but how could it be in trouble now that it sat down? As expected, Yin Chang and the other 2's gazes fell on Goei Batsao. However, when they saw that it didn't have any cultivation, their gazes immediately shifted away. Although Goei Batsao sat down on its own accord and was disrespectful to them, they didn't need to be bothered with an ant. The important matter was more important. Master Xuanji quickly ordered people to serve the best tea and the other 2 pastries, and politely invited Yin Chang and the other 2 to taste them. Yin Chang glanced at the fragrant tea offered but didn't drink it. How could he have the nerve to offer them such tea leaves? This Chongshao continent was indeed very barren. Seeing that Yin Chang and the other 2 were about to taste it, Master Xuanji said, "Master Yin Chang and the other 2, I wonder if the 3 of you have any instructions for coming to our bitter Zen sect this time?" Chapter 53:18 Thousand Eyes in Demon Array. Yin Chang glanced at the crowd. He intentionally released his aura. Some of the people with lower cultivation could not help but sweat and even tremble. Goei Batsao did not find anything unusual, but she was still trembling under He Xinji's order, just like the others. Yin Chang noticed that the crowd was even more respectful to him, and there was a hint of pride in his eyes. He then said, Back then, our 10,000 Buddhas sacred hall set up a formation at the entrance of your bitter Zen sect. Today, there are actually signs of activation. Although it's not very obvious, it also means that something is wrong. That's why they sent me here to take a look. As soon as Yin Chang's words came out, everyone's expressions changed. Master Xuanji and the others were naturally gloating. What they said about the Buddha's demon discerning formation was just nonsense. They didn't expect the 10,000 Buddhas sacred hall to really set up a formation at the entrance. Moreover, from what they had said, it was obvious that activating the array wasn't a good thing. That loan was going to be unlucky. He might even implicate the Zen sect. The Lon family's ancestor had determined that the little monk Lon was Yunchujo, the troublemaker. At this moment, he was burning with anxiety, thinking that this guy was seeking death by playing tricks. There was no need to pretend to be the little monk Lon. This time, he was going to lose his life. Master Liaowu and the others were even more anxious. If the people of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall were to see through Lon's identity, they would definitely be blamed. If they had known this would happen, they would not have come to the bitter Zen sect. It was too late to repent. Hei Shinjo, who was floating in the air, felt as if her heart was bickering with a dog. She had never thought that the mountain gate of the bitter Zen sect really had a formation. Moreover, it was a formation set up by the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. Today's matter was going to be terrible. Go-Wei Butsao was also a little nervous. After all, Yunchujo was its host. If its host died, it might not be able to find another host for a long time. Sect Master Xuanji suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and said, "Master Xuanji, what kind of array formation is the front gate?" "The 1,000-eye Zhenemo array that can identify the devil Qi." "Is there anything unusual this afternoon?" Yin Cheng asked. Xianji was overjoyed and quickly said, "To tell you the truth, Lon from the Zen sect was blocked twice by a huge force when he passed by the mountain gate this afternoon. Later, he was forcefully brought into the mountain gate by the Zen sect." Yin Cheng slightly raised his eyebrows and asked, "Where is the Lon you mentioned?" Xianji immediately pointed at Go-Wei Butsao, who was trying his best to reduce his presence. "Lon, why don't you come over and confess your crimes?" Go-Wei Butsao was furious. "Confess my ass? It was obviously just a grass, it had nothing to do with the devil, all right?" However, it also knew that now was not the time to mess around. It quickly followed Yunchuji's instructions and walked in front of Yin Cheng and the other two with an innocent and aggrieved expression. Amitabha. The three eminent monks are wise. This penniless monk worships Buddha all year round. I really don't know why I was blocked outside the mountain gate. There must be a misunderstanding, Go-Wei Butsao said. Yin Cheng sized up Go-Wei Butsao. He didn't expect that the one who had triggered the array was this little monk without cultivation. However, he didn't have the patience to investigate the truth. Since this little monk had triggered the array, he would kill him. Yunchujo saw the killing intent in Yin Cheng's eyes and her heart tightened. Not good. This Yin Cheng actually wanted to kill her. She quickly commanded Go-Wei Butsao, "Master, you look like an accomplished monk. I believe that you want disregard human lives. Please clear this penniless monk's name." Chapter 53:19 Who hit me? Yin Cheng glanced at Go-Wei Butsao with disdain. Did this trash without cultivation think that he would spare him just because he said a few good words? He didn't want to stay in the Chongshao continent for even a moment. How could he have the patience to return his innocence? Whether he was innocent or deserved it had nothing to do with him. He just needed to complete the mission. Yunchujo saw the killing intent in his eyes grow stronger, and she knew something was wrong. Before she could think of anything, she saw Master Liaowu bow and say, "Master, Lonesome is simple-minded and has been worshipping Buddha in the 1,000 Buddha cave. Do you think there's some misunderstanding?" Yunchujo did not expect Master Liaowu to plead on her behalf. Although he did it largely for the sake of Daybreak Bell and the Levin Wanmu, she still remembered his kindness. After all, not everyone had the courage to plead in front of the people of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace. They were already scared out of their wits. The old ancestor of the Lan family also wanted to plead, but he had no position. After all, little monk Lonely had nothing to do with the Lan family on the surface. Yin Cheng looked at Master Liaowu unhappily and sneered, "Are you doubting the 1,000-eyed demon array of our 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace? Or are you doubting my decision?" Master Liaowu immediately said in fear and trepidation, "Master, you misunderstood me. How could I dare to doubt you? But this Lone is my disciple. Can you give him a chance to prove his innocence?" Before Yin Cheng could say anything, Yin Zhao behind him mocked, "Your disciple? So what? Do you think you are useful in front of us? Forget about Lonesome being guilty, even if he isn't. Do we, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, need the consent of ants like you to kill someone? If you say any more, they'll kill you too." Yin Zhao's words could be said to be extremely arrogant. The Lan family's ancestor and the others were usually people who could call the wind and summon the rain, so how could they have ever suffered such cowardice? However, even if they were dissatisfied, they could only endure it. Although Yin Zhao's words were unpleasant to hear, it was also the truth. They were indeed ants in the eyes of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. Master Liaowa's face flushed red. He didn't know what to say. Yun Shijia's eyes were filled with anger. She floated in front of Yin Zhao and raised her hand to slap him. This fellow was also furious. He didn't hope that he would succeed. After all, other than the slap he gave Di Biming, he had never succeeded. Pa! A loud slap sounded, and half of Yin Zhao's face immediately swelled up. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected such a thing to happen. Who had slapped Yin Zhao? Yin Zhao was completely dumbfounded. How did he get slapped all of a sudden? Which ant had hit him? However, the sect leader and the others were still quite a distance away from the three of them. He was not blind, so he did not see any movement from those people. Could it be that he had seen a ghost? Yun Shuzhou saw his swollen face and wanted to beat him up again, but her hand directly went through Yin Zhao's head. This guy was a little annoyed. If he had known earlier, he would have slapped Yin Zhao's temple and killed him. Yin Zhao was embarrassed and angry. He shouted angrily, "Who hit me? Get out here." Naturally, no one would come out. Although Master Liaowu and the others did not say it, they were very angry in their hearts. They deserved it. Why didn't they beat you to death? Yin Cheng frowned and coughed. Yin Zhao didn't make a sound. He stared at everyone sinisterly. It must be someone among these ants. If he knew who it was, he would definitely kill him. Chapter 53:20 Voluntary entry into the Devil Refining Pagoda. Yun Shuzhou used this short period of time to think about several things. Master Liaowu and the other two could not fight head-on to protect her and Yin Cheng and the other two. She had to save herself. However, her primordial spirit was out of her body. Gowei Batsao had no other means of attack other than summoning demonic beasts. How could she save her life? She thought for a moment and finally gritted her teeth. She immediately had Gowei Batsao speak loudly, "Master, although this penniless monk's life is as cheap as an ant, this penniless monk is a Buddhist cultivator after all. Even if I die, I don't want to bear the name of the demon race. I voluntarily entered the Devil Refining Pagoda. If this penniless monk is able to come out safely, Master, please clear this penniless monk's name." Yin Cheng frowned. His original intention was to kill this lone and return to the 10,000 Buddha's sacred palace immediately. However, what Yin Zhao had done just now made him suspicious. Could it be that there were hidden experts among the people present? Although he felt that the people of the Heavy Cloud continent were like ants, there was no guarantee that the people of the other factions in the Divine Enlightenment continent would be hiding among them. It would be best if there were no complications. Moreover, he had long heard of the Devil Refining Pagoda and wanted to see it. Thinking of this, he said lightly, "All right, we will do as you say." Hearing this, Master Xuanji hurriedly said, the devil refining pagoda is at the back of the mountain. Please step forward, my lords. Chang nodded, and everyone immediately left the meeting hall and rushed to the back of the bitter Zen sect. Master Liaowu, the ancestor of the Lan family, and the others had grave expressions on their faces. Although they were sure that Yunchujiu was not a devil, she did not have the slightest bit of cultivation now. Could she come out of the devil refining pagoda alive? If there were other options, Yunchujiu would naturally not choose this. However, there was only one way to survive now. Gowei Batsao was also a little apprehensive. The storm had already passed. Would she capsize in this little ditch? It stared at Yin Chang and the other two who were walking in front and secretly hated them. If it were not for these 3 old bald donkeys, there would not be such a terrible thing. Unfortunately, it was too weak now. Otherwise, it would kill them. Otherwise, it would lure some demonic beasts over. No, there shouldn't be 2 powerful demonic beasts nearby. If they came over, they would be courting death. Just as Gowei Batsao was gnashing his teeth, everyone had already arrived at the devil refining pagoda. In the clouds, a 3-story pagoda appeared in front of everyone. It looked like the pagoda before them was not much different from an ordinary pagoda, but everyone knew that since this devil refining pagoda was given to them by the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, its power must be extraordinary. Yin Chang and the other 2 had a complicated expression on their faces. They did not have a high status in the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, so they did not know some of the secrets. They couldn't help but wonder, why would they give a treasure like the refined devil pagoda to the bitter Zen sect? Wasn't this a reckless waste of God's gift? Master Xuanji said respectfully to Yin Chang, Master, should I open the refined devil pagoda now? After seeing Yin Chang nod, he took out a Buddhist bead and activated it with Buddhist power. The Buddhist bead flew toward the refined devil pagoda and landed in the groove. The door of the devil refining pagoda slowly opened, and there seemed to be Buddhist chanting coming from inside. Gowei Batsao immediately walked into the devil refining pagoda with her head held high and her chest puffed out. The door of the pagoda slowly closed. Yunchujiu and Gowei Batsao looked around as soon as they entered the devil refining pagoda. They realized that the place they were at now looked similar to the Great Hall of the Mahavira. In front of them was a huge Buddha statue. The Buddha statue looked solemn and benevolent as it looked at them. Chapter 53:21 was so painful Gowei Batsao immediately knelt on the futon in front of the Buddha statue and mumbled, Buddha bless my Gowei Batsao to cultivate into human form as soon as possible, bless my wedding night. Yunchujiu could not help but roll her eyes. At this time, she actually had the leisure to ask for a wedding night? She did not pay attention to the muttering Gowei Batsao, but looked around. Previously, when she saw that there were 3 floors in the pagoda, she thought that this was the first floor. However, this place was different from what she had imagined, and nothing dangerous had happened. Just as Yunchujiu was thinking, the Buddha statue shot out 10,000 rays of golden light to envelop the Gowei Batsao. Gowei Batsao immediately cried out in pain, ouch, ouch, it hurts so much. Yunchujiu looked up and saw that Gowei Bakeo's clothes had been dyed red with blood. It must have been injured by the golden light. I can't. I have to go back to my dantian. If I stay any longer, my baby will die of pain. Gowei Batsao cried out. Yunchujiu snorted, this little pain is nothing compared to the breaking of the meridians. You can't even bear this, right? Gowei Batsao stopped crying when it heard that. It snorted, I was just playing with you. To an unparalleled hero like me, this little pain is nothing. Yunchujiu glanced at it, is that so? Then you'll have to take a good look. Gowei Batsao had already said its big words. It could only secrete juice to quickly repair Yunchujiu's body while enduring the pain and pretending that it did not care. Yunchujiu was secretly happy. She was naturally trying to provoke it. If she really let Gowei Batsao return to her dantian, her body might be fatally injured. If that was the case, even if she could return her primordial spirit to her body in the future, she might be in trouble. Go-Wei Batsao grimaced in pain and cursed, "Damn it, I kowtowed to this Buddha statue for nothing. Not only did I not get any benefits, I was even injured by its golden light. If it was not for the fact that I can't use it now, I would definitely smash this useless Buddha statue." Yun Shujiao looked at Go-Wei Batsao grimacing in pain and could not help but feel glad that her primordial spirit was now out of her body, or else she would suffer. However, this was not the way to go on. She had to enter the second level as soon as possible. However, where was the entrance? Yun Shujiao and Go-Wei Batsao searched for a long time but still could not find the entrance to the second level. Yun Shujiao cursed in her heart. Could it be that she was really a demon? So, she was trapped in the first level and suffered until she died? She did not care whether she was a demon or not. Regardless of whether she was a human or a demon, it was just that they were on different sides. In fact, there was no difference. However, how could she break the dilemma in front of her? Finally, her gaze landed on the Buddha statue. The right hand of the Buddha statue was placed on the right knee, and her fingers touched the ground. She had read a lot of Buddhist scriptures in the Buddhist scripture library of the Zen sect, so she knew that this was the devil-subduing seal. However, it looked a little out of place. What was wrong with it? Yun Shujia's pupils suddenly constricted. She knew. Logically speaking, the 5 fingers of the right hand of the Buddha statue should be together, but the little finger of the right hand of the Buddha statue seemed to tilt slightly to the right. Yun Shujiao floated closer to take a closer look and saw that the little finger was pointing at a lotus petal carved on the lotus seat. Yun Shujiao immediately said to Go-Wei Batsao, "Go-Wei Batsao, come over and press this lotus petal. This should be the mechanism leading to the second floor." Chapter 53-22, 18 Arhats. Go-Wei Batsao was skeptical and asked, "How did you know?" Yun Shujiao glanced at it. "If I asked you to press it, then press it. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Go-Wei Batsao was so angry that it was twitching. It cursed in its heart. Did this stupid girl really think that it was afraid of her? Pooey. Shameless. However, it still had to point at this stupid girl. It did not want to be trapped in this broken pagoda. Hence, it climbed onto the Buddha statue and pressed on the lotus petal that Yun Shujiao was pointing at. This fellow cursed in its heart. If there was no reaction after pressing on it, it would definitely laugh at this stupid girl. Otherwise, she would really think that she knew everything about astronomy and geography. However, when its hand touched the petal, it actually pressed on it. At the same time, a stone staircase appeared out of thin air, leading to the roof. It really worked. Although Go-Wei Batsao was a little unwilling, it had to admit that Yun Shujiao was indeed capable. How did she discover it? However, the most important thing now was to hurry up and go to the second floor. It did not want to suffer the pain of 1,000 cuts. Yun Shujiao glanced at the Go-Wei Batsao that was trying its best to climb at night. The reason why she was scolding it earlier was that she was afraid that it would be too arrogant and would not listen to her arrangements. She finally realized that she could not give it any face with this scheming plant. Otherwise, it would take advantage of her. The Go-Wei Batsao climbed up the stone stairs and finally reached the second floor of the pagoda. Seeing the scene before him, Go-Wei Batsao could not help but be shocked. There were 18 Arhat statues on this level, and each of them glared at Go-Wei Batsao ferociously. Normally, Go-Wei Batsao would not be afraid of them, but now that Go-Wei Batsao did not have any abilities, it felt a little guilty. "Little fairy, quickly look for the mechanism that leads to the third level. I don't want to stay here for long." As soon as Go-Wei Batsao finished speaking, the Arhat statues moved. Go-Wei Batsao was so frightened that it cried out, "It's over. It's over. They're going to gang up on the baby." Yun Shujiao was completely speechless. Where was your usual arrogance? Why did you cower? Although Yun Shujiao was cursing in her heart, she knew that the situation was critical. She quickly thought of a solution. Unexpectedly, the 18 Arhats only surrounded the Go-Wei Batsao in the middle and did not attack. Instead, they began to chant Buddhist scriptures. As they chanted, golden Sanskrit language overflowed and formed a huge golden lotus, enveloping the Goei Batsao. The Sanskrit language was like a sharp arrow that rushed into the Goei Bakeo's forehead. Goei Batsao was delighted to see it. The Sanskrit language was probably trying to attack the smelly girl's spiritual sense, but now that the smelly girl's primordial spirit had left her body, it was useless for the Sanskrit language to rush into the smelly girl's forehead. As expected, after the Sanskrit language rushed into Yun Shujia's forehead, because there was no target to attack, it dissipated on its own. When Yun Shujio saw this, she could not help but be delighted. It seemed that her primordial spirit leaving her body still had many benefits, but even if she did not have her primordial spirit leaving her body, the Sanskrit language could not hurt her. Yun Shujio ignored the Goei Batsao and began to search for a way to get to the third level. Yun Shujio quickly discovered a problem. The position of the 18 arhats was actually the same as the Buddhist light golden lotus formation that old monk Wang Su had used back then. Although the effect was slightly different, the principle was probably the same. Yun Shujio frowned slightly. Would she be able to leave the second level after breaking the 18 arhats formation? Just as she was thinking, Goei Batsao let out a scream. Chapter 53-23 Miserable Goei Batsao. Yun Shujia's heart tightened. She quickly looked at Goei Batsao and saw that the golden Sanskrit swords were no longer rushing towards Goei Bakeo's glabella. Instead, they were shooting towards Goei Bakeo's body. Although Goei Batsao jumped up and down to dodge, there were still sharp swords shooting towards its body. Goei Batsao cried loudly as it dodged, "Woo woo, what kind of sin has this baby done? Why isn't it being cut into 1,000 pieces or thousands of arrows piercing through the heart?" It really wanted to abandon its so-called moral integrity and return to its dantian. However, it also thought that if it retreated to its dantian, it would lose face, but if this stinky girl's body was destroyed, it would have no place to stay. Thinking of this, it could only grit its teeth and endure. This guy could not help but feel a little emotional. When that stinky girl was struck by lightning, her meridians were broken, and the pain was much more severe than this, but that stinky girl endured it without saying a word. It had to be said that that wretched girl still had some redeeming qualities. Yun Shujio was not proficient in formations. Although she had seen Wang Su use the Buddhist light golden lotus formation before, it was only limited to remembering the locations of the golden lotuses. However, she did not know how to break it. This fellow thought to himself, then he'll use the most stupid method. Goei Batsao, if you move the position of one of the arhat statues, this formation should be broken. Yun Shujio shouted at Goei Batsao. Goei Batsao was so angry that she shook her arm. That's easy for you to say. Do you think I can get close to those arhat statues? Yun Shujio touched her nose. It made sense. Goei Batsao could barely protect her vitals now, so she couldn't get close to any of the arhat statues. What should she do? Goei Batsao shouted, "Didn't you just slap that hidden reflection? Can you try to move the arhat statue? If you can't move it, you'll die without a complete corpse." Yun Shujia's eyes lit up. She floated to the cloth bag arhat's side and reached out to move the arhat statue. Unfortunately, her hands passed through the arhat statue and did not move the arhat statue at all. She was burning with anxiety and kept trying. She felt tired, but she still could not move the arhat statue at all. Goei Bakeo's screams were heard one after another. Goei Batsao was also in pain and could not stop cursing. Fuck, it's really like a tiger being bullied by a dog. Im's so big, but Im's so aggrieved. Im's so angry. Stupid girl, you're a grand ghost ancestor, but you don't even know how to use your spiritual sense to attack, you trash. When you attack, you have to forget that you're an immortal soul. You trash. Think about how it was ever changing in the ghost realm, you blockhead. When Yun Shujio heard Go Weiba words, she was naturally furious. However, her heart skipped a beat. Did she forget that she was a primordial spirit? She subconsciously raised her hand to push the cloth bag arhat in front of her. She did not expect that she would actually push the cloth bag Arhat away. As the cloth bag Arhat was pushed away, all the attacks came to an abrupt end. A stone staircase appeared on the roof. Goei Butsao sat on the ground, panting heavily. The human body was useless, and it was already exhausted after jumping for a short while. It suddenly remembered the words it had said to Yunchujo, and could not help but tremble. It quickly said, little fairy, I had no choice just now. It was to stimulate your potential. It seems that this method is not bad. Ha, ah. Chapter 53-24 Loneliness died. Yunchujo knew that it was lying through its teeth, but she did not expose it. She only said lightly, okay, I got it. You rest for a while, and we'll head to the third level. Goei Butsao felt a little uncomfortable when it saw that Yunchujo did not scold it. This wretched girl must be thinking of settling the score after the autumn. How insidious. It recalled what it said just now and did not say anything extraordinary. It was slightly relieved. After Goei Butsao recovered some of its strength, it climbed up the stone stairs. However, when it reached the third level, it was stunned. The third level was empty. There was nothing. Even when it went up, the stone stairs that originally led to the second level disappeared. Goei Butsao initially thought that there would be an attack soon. However, 15 minutes, an hour, 4 hours, until the night passed, there were no signs of an attack. Could this be a prison? The people outside the tower had been waiting for the movement inside. However, when they saw that it was already the next morning and that Lone did not come out of the tower, their expressions became complicated. Yin Zhao snorted coldly, Lei Wu, didn't you say that Lone was not a demon? Then why didn't she come out? I didn't expect that your Zen sect would take in a demon as a disciple. She is indeed an ant. She doesn't even have the ability to differentiate. Master Liaowu tightened his hands under his wide sleeves. Compared to Yin Zhao's harsh words, he was more worried about Yun Chujia's safety inside the pagoda. Yin Zhao saw that Master Liaowu didn't say anything and provoked, what? Are you mute? Why aren't you saying anything? Master Liaowu couldn't take it anymore and said calmly, the light on the top of the tower hasn't been extinguished, which means that Lone is still alive. So it's still too early to say that she is a devil. Everyone looked at the top of the tower. Ever since the tower opened, a gentle light had lit up on the top of the tower. It hadn't been extinguished yet. Perhaps Lone was still alive? Master Xuanji sneered at the side and said, Master Liaowu, you are most likely wrong about one thing. If Lone was a demon, she might not have died immediately. Instead, she would have been trapped inside the pagoda. Now, she is obviously trapped inside. She is a demon. Master Liaowu suddenly did not know what to say. He was also a little uncertain. Could it be that the little girl was also a demon like her parents? Seeing that Master Liaowu was rendered speechless by him, Xianji couldn't help but feel proud in his heart. The Zen sect actually had a demon disciple. He only needed to stir up a little bit in front of Yin Chang and the other two, and the Zen sect would be in big trouble. If that was the case, he didn't need to waste time to carry out the later plans. Thinking of this, Xianji said, Master Liaowu, I always thought that your Zen sect was a respectable sect. I didn't expect that you actually took in a demon, and it's even your disciple. Could it be that your Zen sect has other connections with the demon race? Master Liaowu was both angry and afraid. The best way now was to distance himself from the little monk Lonely, but he really couldn't open his mouth. However, if he allowed Xianji to sow discord, it might bring disaster to the Zen sect. What should he do? At this moment, someone exclaimed, Look! The light at the top of the tower is gone. Lonely is dead. Sect leader Liaowu looked at the top of the tower in disbelief. Sure enough, the light at the top of the tower had disappeared. His head buzzed. That little girl, the disciple who chased after him and called him master, was really dead? Chapter 53:25 was fate. Everyone's eyes fell on the top of the tower. Master Xuanji had said before that if the light at the top of the tower was extinguished, it meant that the people inside had died. The old ancestor of the Lan family trembled. For a moment, he had mixed feelings. He had important plans for that troublemaker, and now he was dead? He was disappointed that his plan had failed. He was angry at the Zen Buddhism sect and the 10,000 Buddhist temple. He was also somewhat disappointed and sad. He had thought that he would never experience such so-called sadness ever since all the Wang generation members of the Lan family had died. He did not expect that after the troublemaker, who was not related to him by blood, had died. He actually felt this kind of feeling again. When did the original use and control begin to be mixed with family affection? Was it when she smiled cheekily and flattered him? Was it when she was smart and quick-witted and obtained the first place in the family competition? Or did she rely on her own strength to bring everyone from the Lan family safely back to the Lan family? The Lan family's old ancestor forcefully suppressed this kind of emotion in the bottom of his heart. He was the head of the Lan family. He still wanted to take revenge. He also wanted to carry the Lan family forward. He could not help himself. The gloating expression on Master Xuanzi's face couldn't be hidden anymore. He said to Master Liaowu, "Master Liaowu, didn't you say that the light at the top of the pagoda doesn't extinguish, so it doesn't mean that Lone is a demon? Now you see it, right? The light at the top of the pagoda has been extinguished. This is enough to prove that Lone is a demon. You actually took a demon as your disciple. TSK, are you blind, or are you an accomplice of the demon?" Upon hearing this, Yin Chang and the other two looked at Master Liaowu. Master Liaowu was so angry that he was trembling. He hated Xian Ji to the extreme. However, that little girl was already dead. It was meaningless to argue about whether she was a demon or not. Now, he had to ensure that the Zen sect would not be implicated. Thinking of Yunchujiu, his heart moved. The person who had asked the Zen sect to lock up Yunchujiu's parents was also from the 10,000 Buddhist sacred hall. Moreover, his level was obviously higher than Yin Chang and the other two. Therefore, he put his palms together and said, "Amitabha." Can the three masters speak further? Yin Chang and the other two were very disdainful, but when they saw the solemn expression on sect master Wu's face, they still followed him to the side. After activating the isolation array for sect master Wu, they then said, "Master Liaowu and the other two, I wonder if you know Master Wu Lu?" Yin Chang and the other two were startled and said in a faint voice, "Of course we know him. Master Wu Lu, our martial uncle, what do you mean by this?" Upon hearing this, sect master Liaowu heaved a sigh of relief and quickly said, Master Liaowu, once came to our Zen sect and gave us a mission. Therefore, our Zen sect only follows the lead of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. We would never dare to have second thoughts, and we would never dare to collude with the demon race." Yin Chang and the other two were skeptical. However, since their mission had been completed, there was no need to offend anyone. At most, they could find an opportunity to ask martial uncle Liaowu when they went back. Yin Chang snorted coldly. "All right, I'll let your Zen sect off this time. If we find out that you colluded with the demon race, HMPH. Master Huowu heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, the Zen sect had been saved, but it was a pity for that little girl. Alas, this was all fate. Yin Chang and the other two saw that the matter had been settled and were about to leave. Master Xuanji said eagerly, "Three masters, there are still 3 days before the grand scene of the Sea of Clouds and Buddhist light. Why don't the three of you stay and let this penniless monk do his duty as a host?" Chapter 53:26, Buddhist Light of the Sea of Clouds. Yin Chang and the other two were a little tempted. The Buddhist Light of the Sea of Clouds could be said to be a once-in-1,000-years spectacle. It was not bad to stay and take a look. Seeing that the three were a little tempted, Master Xuanji quickly asked someone to arrange their accommodation. He was extremely attentive, so the three of them took the opportunity to agree. Originally, Master Liaowu and the other two had wanted to leave because they were in a bad mood. However, now that Yin Chang and the other two had stayed, they naturally could not bid farewell. They could only bite the bullet and stay. Xianji's heart was filled with joy. Compared to having a relationship with the Divine Devil Hall, he was naturally more willing to curry favor with the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall. If he had a good relationship with the 10,000 Buddha's Sacred Hall, his ascension might be just around the corner. Therefore, he had originally planned to kill the members of the Zen sect, but he decided to wait for Yin Chang and the other two to leave. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this morning, before the sun rose, Master Xuanji and the other two had already accompanied Yin Chang and the other two to the highest peak of the Bitter Zen sect, Sun Viewing Peak. Master Xuanji and the other two, when the sun rises, the sea of clouds and Buddhist light will appear, Master Xuanji said politely. Yin Zhao asked curiously, what exactly does the Buddhist light look like? A Buddha with a golden halo will appear above the sea of clouds. The Buddha's face can be clearly seen. It's really a blessing for the Buddhist sect, Xianji said with some self-satisfaction. Yin Chang and the other two heard this and became even more interested. If they could really see it, it would be a good topic to talk about when they returned. Master Liaowu and the Lan family's ancestor had indifferent expressions. Although several days had passed and they had already accepted the fact that Yun Chuzhou was dead, their mood was still somewhat depressed. As time passed, the sun slowly rose from the east. At this moment, someone exclaimed, "Quick, look! Buddha's light! Buddha's light! Oh my God, it's actually 7-colored Buddha's light. It's even rarer than the golden Buddha's light I saw before. It's really 7-colored Buddha's light. Oh my God, I never thought that I would be able to see 7-colored Buddha's light in my lifetime. It's simply like smoke coming from the ancestral grave." As 7-colored Buddha's light was too rare, the crowd couldn't care less about whether they would offend Yin Chang and the other two and started shouting excitedly. Yin Chang and the other two weren't in the mood to argue with the crowd. It was also their first time seeing the 7-colored Buddhist light. Xianji rolled his eyes. He fawned, "Masters, this sea of clouds Buddhist light was originally golden, but now it has turned into the 7-colored Buddhist light. It must be because the three masters have a deep affinity with Buddhism that we are fortunate enough to see such a wonderful scene." Yin Chang and the other two knew that Xianji was flattering them, but they still revealed a satisfied smile. Moreover, they also felt that Xianji might be right. The reason why the golden Buddhist light turned into a 7-colored Buddhist light was because of their arrival. The three of them could not help but feel excited and hurriedly knelt on the ground. Once the three of them knelt, the rest naturally could not stand and also knelt on the ground. As time passed, the scene in the distance became more and more magnified and clearer. Even the face of the Buddha statue could be seen clearly. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in disbelief, "Heavens, heavens, that Buddha's face, why is it exactly the same as that lonely?" The people did not pay too much attention to it before, and because of the distance, they did not see it clearly. Now that they heard that person's exclamation and looked carefully, they were all dumbfounded. They saw that the Buddha's face was actually exactly the same as the dead loneliness. How was this possible? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:27. Lone was alive again at this moment. Someone slapped his thigh and said, "I heard that Lone is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha. Could it be that what he said is true?" "Yes, I've heard of it too. If he is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, then it makes sense. But, isn't he already dead?" "What do you mean dead?" "Since he is the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, then he has returned to his golden body." The more Yin Chang and the other two listened, the uglier their expressions became. They were confused, shocked, and a little terrified. If that Lone was really the reincarnation of the so-called Buddha and they had forced the Buddha to die, wouldn't they be punished by the heavens? The three of them immediately stood up. The others were intimidated by the pressure they were emitting and shut their mouths in embarrassment. The three of them stared at the Buddha's face that was getting clearer and clearer. It was indeed exactly the same as that lone. However, the originally peaceful gaze of the Buddha had become cold and solemn, causing the three of them to feel even more terrified. The others also noticed the change in the gaze of the Buddha statue. The people who had originally stood up knelt on the ground once again. They did not dare to say anything as they silently chanted in their hearts, "Little lone Buddha, this has nothing to do with us. If you want to take revenge, go look for those 3 monks from the 10,000 Buddha sacred hall and that Xianji." Xianji's legs were also somewhat weak. He had often done some immoral things. As the saying went, a guilty conscience. Under the light of Buddha, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. Of course, the feelings of Master Liaowu and the Lan family's patriarch were, well, a little subtle. They knew that Lone was not a Buddha at all. He was not even a monk. Then, what was going on with this light of Buddha? Could it be that the little girl was not dead? But, how did she manage to control such a strange scene? This was too unbelievable. Master Liaowu pinched himself hard. After confirming that this was not an illusion, his nose could not help but feel a little sore. It was great that the little girl was not dead. The Lan family's patriarch slowly closed his eyes and slowly opened them. He had said that disasters would last for 1,000 years. That troublemaker would not die so easily. As time passed, the Buddhist light gradually faded until it disappeared. There was a dead silence on Sun Viewing Peak. Chang and the other two's expressions were very ugly. They ignored Master Xuanji and walked down the mountain. Master Xuanji was frightened and uneasy. He didn't care about pleasing Chang and the other two. He followed behind them silently. Before they reached the meeting hall, a disciple of the bitter Zen sect came to report in panic, Master, that lone, Xianji suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart. He shouted, "What's wrong with Lone? Isn't he dead?" "No, he's alive again. Not only is he alive, but he's also sitting on the top of the Devil Refining Pagoda, asking you to go over and apologize." Everyone was stunned when they heard his words and then exploded. Oh my God, that Lone isn't dead? Could it be that the Buddhist light that appeared earlier revived him? It's possible. How else did he come out of the Devil Refining Pagoda? And he's sitting on the top of the pagoda? He's the reincarnation of a Buddha. Naturally, he won't die so easily. This time, Master Xuanji will be in big trouble. Xianji broke out in cold sweat. If it wasn't for the Buddhist light, he might not have believed the news of the reincarnation of a Buddha. But just now, he saw with his own eyes that Lone was inside the 7-colored Buddhist light. How could he not believe it? Chang and the other two's expressions changed too. Could it be that Lone was really the reincarnation of the Buddha? Then, would he punish them too? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:28 Didn't you see this penniless monk's Dharma idol? Master Liaowu and the Lan family's ancestor were naturally very happy. It seemed that the troublemaker really didn't die. However, it wasn't good to be too obvious, so the two could only suppress the joy in their hearts and prepare to see what that troublemaker wanted to do next. Xianji didn't want to go, but he couldn't not go either. He could only look at Chang and the other two with a bitter face. "3 masters, what do you think?" Chang said with a cold face, "Let's go and take a look." Hearing that, Xianji felt a little more at ease. He accompanied everyone to the Devil Refining Pagoda. From afar, everyone saw a small monk sitting on the top of the pagoda. It was Lonely Small Monk. He was sitting cross-legged with a Buddha bead in his hand. The sunlight happened to cover his back with a layer of halo, making people involuntarily associate him with the Buddha statue that appeared in the light. Everyone's knees suddenly felt weak, and they had the urge to kneel down. Xianji wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and took 2 steps forward. He said with a fierce expression, "Lone. Why are you sitting on the top of the pagoda? Come down quickly." The little monk Lone slowly opened his eyes and looked at Xianji with his bright eyes. He said indifferently, "Buddha enlightened this penniless monk in his dream. You have committed heinous crimes, and you are not worthy to be the sect master of the bitter Zen sect. You have already broken the lust rule. You have imprisoned several women as furnaces and cauldrons. You are truly a scum of the Buddhist sect." Xianji's head buzzed when he heard this. He roared angrily out of embarrassment, "Lonely. You are full of nonsense. You devil, you must have used some secret technique to escape from the devil refining pagoda." The lonely monk said indifferently, "Devil? This penniless monk is the reincarnation of a Buddha. Buddha told this penniless monk in his dream that this penniless monk's Dharma idol would appear in the sea of clouds this morning. Didn't you see it?" Everyone immediately burst into a clamor when they heard that. Heavens, just as they thought, why did the light of Buddha suddenly appear? It turned out that it was the enlightenment of Buddha. It seemed that Lonely was really the reincarnation of a Buddha. If Lonely was the reincarnation of a Buddha, then what he said was true. Did Xianji really imprison a woman as a furnace? Nonsense, you are talking nonsense. You must have used some unspeakable means. It must be so. Men, take him down. Xianji shouted fiercely. Yunchujiu laughed lightly. "Xianhui, Buddha enlightened me in my dream. He said that although you are a little narrow-minded, you are at least much stronger than this Xianji. Take your men to search now. If you find evidence, the sect leader of the bitter Zen sect will be yours." Xianhui was stunned on the spot. He had always wanted to replace Xianji, but his skills were not as good as Xianji's, so he could only reluctantly submit to others. Now, after hearing Yunchuji's words, he was ecstatic. He naturally knew that Xianji used a woman as a cauldron. After all, he had many spies. No matter how careful Xianji was, he would still leave traces. However, should he take this risk? Just as he was hesitating, he heard lonely little monk sigh. "Xianhui, isn't this what you wished for in front of Buddha? Are you lying to Buddha?" Xianhui trembled. It seemed that Lonely was telling the truth. Otherwise, how would he know that he had prayed for this matter in front of Buddha? As Xianhui was thinking, he caught a glimpse of Xianji's cold gaze. His heart sank. Xianji already hated him. If he was not eliminated, there would be endless trouble in the future. Moreover, the sect master of the bitter Zen sect should be changed. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-29. Long-browed Arhat. Thinking of this, Xianhui said sternly, "It's a different matter if the sect leader doesn't want to be the sect leader. Our bitter Zen sect absolutely won't allow anyone to borrow furnaces and cauldrons to cultivate. Senior brother Xianji, it'll bring some people to search right now. If we can't find anything, then it means that this lonely demon is misleading the masses and his heart should be punished. However, if we really find the so-called furnace and cauldron, then I, Xianhui, can only do justice to my family." Xianji's head was buzzing. If he really let Xianhui search the place, not to mention the position of sect leader, his life would be lost. Therefore, he could not let Xianhui search the place no matter what. He shouted sternly, "Xianhui, are you crazy? Just because of a few words from this lonely demon, you suspect me?" It would have been better if he had not said me. When Xianhui heard these 2 words, she became even more jealous. All these years, he had been suppressed by this Xianji and suffered a lot of cowardice. Today was a great opportunity, he definitely could not miss it. He said with a fake smile, "Senior brother, since you admit your innocence, why can't I search you? This is also to prove your innocence." Xianji was furious. He knew that it was useless to say more. He had to think of another way. He turned his eyes to Yin Chang and the other two. As long as they gave the order, Xian Hui would not dare to search them even if she had ulterior motives. When the matter was over, he would think of a way to get rid of Xian Hui. Therefore, he pleaded, "Masters, this penniless monk is really wronged. That lone is clearly trying to sow discord and want our bitter Zen sect to kill each other. Moreover, the Thousand-Eye Jin demon array has been triggered, which means that this lone is definitely a demon. She might be a high-level demon, which is why she has such means. Please help this penniless monk." Yin Chang and the other two were not stupid. They had already determined that Xianji must have used a woman as a cultivation cauldron. However, this had nothing to do with them. However, was this lone the reincarnation of the son of Buddha? Should they kill him? Although the Sea of Clouds Buddhist light had convinced them a little, they still had doubts in their hearts. If Lone was the reincarnation of the son of Buddha, logically speaking, his temperament and aptitude should be very high. Why did his cultivation go wrong? Did he lose all his cultivation? Moreover, they thought highly of themselves and looked down on the people of the Chongshao continent. They felt that even if there was a reincarnation of the son of Buddha, he should appear in the divine enlightenment continent and not the Chongshao continent. Thinking of this, Yin Chang said coldly, "Lonesome, you said that you are the reincarnation of the Buddha. Do you have any other evidence besides the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds?" Yun Chujio said indifferently, "As expected of Buddha, he predicted that someone would suspect my identity, so he gave me something." "What is it?" "Buddha told me that there was once a master of delusion in the bitter Zen sect who passed away many years ago. He was one of the 18 arhats under the Buddha, the long-browed arhat. Therefore, when he passed away, he left behind a relic. The Buddha told me to give this relic to the bitter Zen sect and let them offer it as a sacrifice." Amitabha. The lonely little monk put his palms together and had a merciful expression on his face. The moment the lonely little monk said those words, the people of the bitter Zen sect immediately went into an uproar. They naturally knew about Master of Delusion. He was one of their founding fathers, but they did not know where he ended up. According to the records, the eyebrows of the great master of false pretense were indeed longer than ordinary people. They did not expect him to be a long-browed arhat. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5330 The Third Tribulation. Yin Chang and the other two heard the discussion of the people from the bitter Zen sect and knew that the master of delusion that Yun Chujio mentioned was indeed a real person. They could not help but feel their hearts pounding. Could it be that this loneliness was really the reincarnation of the Buddha? Xianji's clothes were already soaked in sweat. He forced himself to remain calm and said, "Where is the relic you mentioned?" Yun Chujio sighed. "There are 3 bodies of the Buddha. The Dharma body, the incarnation, and the incarnation. Buddha has enlightened me. This penniless monk has to go through 3 tribulations in order to recover my cultivation. When this penniless monk cultivated, his Buddha energy was sealed. According to Buddha, this is one of the tribulations. When you imprisoned me in the refined devil pagoda, this is the second of the tribulations. There is another tribulation, which should be a water tribulation. Only by washing away the remaining filth in the refined devil pagoda can I recover my cultivation and take out the relic." Everyone was stunned by the words of the lonely little monk. This was too profound. They could not understand it. However, they understood the last sentence. It meant that one had to face the water calamity to recover their cultivation and take out the relic. Xian Hui could not wait to prove that Yun Chujio was the reincarnation of a Buddha. Although there was a grudge between them, it was nothing compared to the position of the sect leader. Therefore, he quickly said, "Water calamity? Isn't that simple? I will order someone to pour water on you." Yun Chujio slowly shook her head. "No, the water of the secular world cannot wash away the filth of the refined devil pagoda. It must be Buddhist holy water. This penniless monk must stay in the soul consolidation spring for 3 days and 3 nights." Upon hearing that, Xianji immediately roared, you have finally revealed your fox tail. You just want to enter the soul consolidation spring. You devil, perhaps your primordial spirit is unstable, so you want to use the soul consolidation spring to heal your injuries. Chang and the other two immediately frowned and looked at Lonely Little Monk suspiciously. Lonely Little Monk chuckled and said, "You'll see what's in your heart. Xianji, you no longer have the slightest bit of Buddha's heart. The reason why I requested to enter the soul consolidation spring was to get through the 3 tribulations as soon as possible, and then take out Master Delusion's relic to save all living beings. If I'm a devil, how can I safely escape from the demon refining pagoda? If I'm a demon, how can I display my Dharma idol in the sea of clouds? If I'm a demon, why do I have the relic of Master Delusion? Forget it, if Xian Hui can't find the women you imprisoned, it'll bear the name you gave me. Amitba, if I don't go to hell, who will? Ah." Everyone looked at the ferocious-looking Xianji, then looked at the sorrowful-looking Lonely Little Monk, and naturally made a judgment in their hearts. Although Yin Chang and the other two still had a trace of doubt, they still believed more than half of it. They didn't care about Xianji's life or death. They were anxious to prove whether Lonely was a Buddha or not. Therefore, Yin Chang said, "Xianji, immediately arrange for this Lonely to enter the soul consolidation spring. If she can't take out the fake relic 3 days later, I will naturally seek justice for you." Xianji gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he didn't dare to disobey. Moreover, it would be terrible if Xian Hui really went to search the place. Therefore, he could only grit his teeth and agree to the Lonely Little Monk's request. However, after waiting for a long time, Lonely Little Monk still didn't come down from the top of the pagoda. There was no other reason. He had been acting tough for too long. Goei Batsao, his legs were numb. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, rolled her eyes when she saw his stupid look and taught him a few words. Thereupon, Lonely Little Monk said indifferently, "I have to enter the soul consolidation spring in this posture. Therefore, you can send someone to carry me into the soul consolidation spring." No one doubted him. They immediately carried Lonely Little Monk onto a wooden board and carried him to the soul consolidation spring. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53:31 The Moon in the Mirror. Goei Batsao pretended to sit on the wooden board and heaved a sigh of relief. The stinky girl was finally going to return to her primordial spirit. Pretending to be a monk was really not something that could be done by grass. It was too damn difficult. She was finally going to reach the end. The moment this guy thought that after Yun Chujia's primordial spirit returned to her body, he would be able to see Xiao Mogu, he immediately became elated. It had to be said that this stupid girl was really smart. With just a little trick, she was cleared of the suspicion of the demon race. She even got the chance to enter the soul consolidation spring and even alienated Xianji and Xian Hui. It could be imagined that the bitter Zen sect would soon fall into turmoil. She really deserved it. At that time, Goei Batsao and Hei Xinjiu were stunned when they realized that there was nothing on the 3rd level of the Devil Refining Pagoda. After searching for a few rounds, they found nothing except for the walls of the pagoda. Goei Batsao opened its mouth and began to howl. It's over, we're going to die in here. I haven't achieved anything yet, and I haven't let my reputation of Goei Batsao spread far and wide. My life is so miserable." Yun Chujiu was annoyed by its howl. She shouted, "Shut up. If you don't shut up, you'll never see Xiao Mogu again." Yun Chujia's move worked every time. As expected, Goei Batsao immediately covered her mouth with her hand and stopped howling. Yun Chujiu was not in a good mood either. She did not want to be trapped here, but there was nothing on the 3rd level. How could she get out? If her primordial spirit had not left her body, she could have used the kitchen knife to cut a door out. But what should she do now? Soon, 2 days had passed. The man and the grass still could not think of a solution. Fortunately, Goei Batsao could secrete juice, so Yun Chujiu would not starve to death. Goei Batsao boasted, did you see that? If it were not for me, you would definitely be dead. Yun Shujo could not be bothered with it. She was thinking about how to get out of it. Go-Wei Batsao saw that Yun Shujo didn't say anything and became even more smug. Don't scold me all the time in the future. Look at how useful I am. Without me, how can you be immune to all poisons? Without me, who will help you absorb the heavenly lightning? Without me, who will help you summon a demon beast? Without me, who will help you repair your meridians? Without me, who will provide you with food? Without me, who would help you scout the enemy? Without me, who would help you torture the scum? The more Go-Wei Batsao talked, the more smug he became. He almost admired himself. Who could compare to it? That ugly bird that was as fat as a ball? That butt face that only knew how to kiss a dog? That ugly broken candle? Not to mention that Hun Dun who treated a cuckold as a good thing. The throne of the #1 spirit pet would belong to him. So, you can't be fooled by that idiot butt-face's flowery words. What he said is just like the moon in the mirror. He's just a trash who only knows how to play with his mouth. What did you say just now? Yun Shujo suddenly interrupted Go-Wei Bakao's words. Go-Wei Batsao was stunned. I said that I'm very useful. I can help you summon a demon beast, that's not it. What did you say just now? I said, don't be fooled by butt-face's flowery words, continue. Go-Wei Batsao was delighted. Did the stupid girl listen to what it said? Was that idiot butt-face about to fall out of favor? It quickly said, I said, what it said was the moon in the mirror. Yun Shujo immediately repeated, moon in the water in the mirror, moon in the water in the mirror, moon in the water in the mirror. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-32. What the hell? Go-Wei Batsao saw Yun Shujo repeatedly muttering moon in the mirror, and could not help but feel a little confused. Has this stupid girl gone mad? Just when Go-Wei Batsao was a little confused, she saw Yun Shujo sitting cross-legged and closing her eyes. Go-Wei Batsao was even more confused now. It was just complaining. Why did it make the stupid girl crazy? Why was it meditating? Hey, what's wrong with you? Are you really crazy? Go-Wei Batsao shouted. Unfortunately, Yun Shujo didn't even lift her eyelids, let alone pay attention to it. Go-Wei Batsao shouted a few more words, but seeing that Yun Shujo still didn't pay attention to it, it simply lay on the ground, feeling very tired. At this time, Yun Shujo opened her eyes and said calmly, Go-Wei Ba, I understand. Emptiness is color, color is emptiness, everything is emptiness, everything is like the moon in the mirror. Go-Wei Batsao blinked its eyes and said, listen, no. Understand. Yun Shujo explained, what we see may not be true. This place may seem empty, but it doesn't mean there is nothing. It's just that we are blinded by our own eyes. Zhou Weiba said weakly, about that, I still don't understand. Just tell me how we can get out of here. Yun Shujo looked at Go-Wei Batsao speechlessly. It made sense. No matter how scheming one was, it was still a piece of grass. Close your eyes and let your mind go blank. Don't think about anything. When you open your eyes again, you will understand what I'm saying. Yun Shujo said lightly. Go-Wei Batsao was skeptical. It felt that Yun Shujo was most likely crazy. However, it still closed its eyes. A moment later, it opened its eyes and found that the scene in front of it had not changed at all. Yun Shujo shook her head. You have distracting thoughts. Start again. Go-Wei Ba had no choice but to close its eyes again. After a while, when it opened its eyes again, there was still no change. Again. Go-Wei Batsao reluctantly closed its eyes again. Go-Wei Batsao tried more than 10 times, but there was still no effect. It was a little annoyed. I think you are talking nonsense. There is clearly nothing here except for the wall. I don't want to try anymore. If you are willing to try, you can try it yourself. Yun Shujo looked at it coldly. If it wasn't for my primordial spirit leaving my body, would I still need a waste like you? If you want to be trapped here, you can go back on your words. Go-Wei Batsao saw that Yun Shujia's tone was unprecedentedly serious, and it immediately cowered. It said embarrassedly, I'm just saying. I still have to try. Yun Shujo did not expose it. Instead, she said, you must have no distracting thoughts. You even have to forget that you are a grass and integrate yourself into this world. Go-Wei Batsao felt that these words were somewhat familiar. Previously, when it taught Yun Shujo to use her spiritual sense to attack, it seemed to say something similar to these words. This fellow immediately became enlightened. He immediately sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. A moment later, Go-Wei Batsao opened its eyes. Its eyes were pure and ethereal, and there was a faint ancient aura lingering around its body. Yun Shujo could not help but have a thought. What was the origin of this Go-Wei Batsao? Just as she was thinking about it, she heard the Go-Wei Batsao shouting, What the hell? What the hell? Why are we still on the first floor? Didn't we reach the third floor? I don't want to be cut into 1,000 pieces. If I knew this would happen, would rather stay on the third floor. Yun Shujo looked speechlessly at the jumping Go-Wei Batsao and immediately forgot about her previous thoughts. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-33 Origin of Buddhist Light. Go-Wei Batsao hopped around for a while and only calmed down when it realized that there was no golden light attacking it. The fellow looked around suspiciously and realized that although there was no change to the Buddha statue, the surrounding walls of the pagoda were made of glass and were transparent. It could even see the flowers, plants, and trees outside, and even the eyelashes of the disciples of the bitter Zen sect guarding the pagoda. This guy rushed to the front of the glazed wall and kept slapping the wall of the glazed pagoda. He shouted and gestured toward the outside, but the guards outside didn't respond at all. Stop messing around. What the people outside see is nothing more than an ordinary pagoda, Yun Shujo said lightly. Go-Wei Batsao felt that its brain was not enough. With the principle of asking shamelessly, it asked flatteringly, Little fairy, what on earth is going on? Everything I see is an illusion, Yun Shujo said calmly. Go-Wei Batsao, are you bullying me because I'm uncultured? What nonsense are you talking about? Forget it, it's just like an illusion formation, what's the point of being arrogant? Even if we can see the actual scene now, how are we going to get out? Go-Wei Batsao asked snappily. Yun Shujo pointed at the little finger on the right hand of the Buddha statue. Just like before, press that lotus petal and we can leave this place. Go-Wei Batsao wanted to press the lotus petal immediately, but Yun Shujo stopped her. Wait. I suddenly thought of something. Go-Wei Batsao rolled her eyes. What is more important than getting out? Yun Shujo curled the corner of her mouth. Don't you think that this glazed wall should have other uses? It just looks better. What other uses can it have? Go-Wei Batsao said disdainfully. It felt that Yun Shujia's mind was constantly changing. What other uses could this broken glass have? Yun Shujo said with a faint smile, a flower in the mirror, a moon in the water. Go-Wei Batsao was even more dumbfounded. It felt that ever since this wretched girl had taken on the persona of the lonely little monk, she had not been speaking in human language because it could not understand. Yun Shujo continued, tomorrow morning, there will be a magnificent scene of the Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds. Tell me, if this face of mine appears above the Sea of Clouds, wouldn't it be very interesting? Go-Wei Batsao, interesting? Are you crazy? The Buddha's light in the Sea of Clouds was a magnificent scene of Buddhism. It must be a Buddha statue. How could it be her face? Yun Shujo was too lazy to explain to Go-Wei Batsao about the diffraction and diffuse reflection of light and the principle of mirage. The only problem she had to solve now was how to turn the Buddha statue's face into her own. This guy soon discovered that when the sun shone in, the image of the Buddha statue would appear on one of the walls of the tower. This guy began to try all kinds of angles. Finally, he found a specific angle that could cover his face on the Buddha statue's face. Goei Batsao was dumbfounded, but he was still skeptical that this thing could appear in the sea of clouds. However, it still cooperated with Yun Chuzhou to complete the scene in the morning. As for why the golden Buddhist light turned into the seven-colored Buddhist light, cough, Goei Batsao had slapped the glazed wall many times before, and there were many dirty handprints on it. By accident, the seven-colored Buddhist light appeared. Yun Chuzhou estimated that it was almost time, so she let Goei Batsao press the lotus petal of the Buddha statue, and then the man and the grass appeared on the top of the tower. Fortunately, there was a huge bead on the top of the tower. Sitting on it would not prick one's butt. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-34 Soul Strengthening Spring. Yun Chuzhou immediately understood the purpose of this bead. It should also be used to reflect the sun's rays. This pagoda was indeed very exquisite. When the guards saw Goei Batsao, they quickly went to report it. Yun Chuzhou took the opportunity to teach Goei Batsao the explanation she had given earlier. Goei Batsao recalled what had just happened and could not help but feel a little smug. Its acting skills were getting better and better. Even it had to admire itself. At this time, everyone had already arrived at the Soul Consolidation Spring. Although they were only at the side of the Soul Consolidation Spring, everyone felt refreshed. It seemed that this Soul Consolidation Spring lived up to its reputation. Goei Batsao followed what Yun Chuzhou had taught it and said indifferently, Amitba. You can directly put this penniless monk into the Soul Consolidation Spring. 3 days later, this penniless monk will definitely hand over Master Wang Zu's relic. A trace of killing intent flashed in Xian Ji's eyes. That loan had not calculated anything. Although the soul strengthening spring was just a spring, the pool was very deep. This loan had already lost his cultivation. He might be drowned inside. The monks carrying Yun Chuzhou were all Xian Ji's confidants. When they saw his eyes, they immediately understood what he meant. They deliberately placed the little lone monk in the deepest part of the pool and removed the wooden board. Lonely Monk's body quickly sank and soon disappeared. Master Liaowu was about to go in to save him when Xian Ji sneered, Master Liaowu, don't worry. Since Lonely is the reincarnation of a Buddha, and he has to go through the water calamity, it's better for others not to interfere. Master Liaowu was about to refute, but he was frightened by Yin Chang's fierce gaze and didn't dare to speak. Yin Chang naturally would not allow Master Liaowu to go in and save him. He wanted to see if this lone was a real or fake Buddha. Anyway, the vicinity of the soul-strengthening spring was conducive to cultivation. Therefore, Yin Chang and the other two directly meditated on the spot, actually wanting to stay and watch. Master Liaowu's heart instantly turned cold. He could only pray in his heart that Yun Chuzhou would be safe and sound. At this time, Goei Batsao had already sunk to the bottom of the water. This fellow kept moving his stiff arms and legs. In any case, he was at the bottom of the water and the people on top couldn't see him. As for the possibility of drowning, it didn't exist at all. Although the water-repellent bead was in the storage ring and couldn't be taken out, Goei Bakao's water nature was quite good. Even if it possessed Yun Chuzhou's body, it could still stay in the water for a while. It was almost done with its activities before it resurfaced. Its feet stepped on the water, exposing its upper body above the water. Moreover, it kept its palms together. When it was tired, it would dive into the water again. As for He Xinzhou, who was floating, she was not afraid of the water. She swam around the pool and when she saw the spring, her heart moved slightly. The diameter of the spring was very large, enough for one person to pass through. She blinked her eyes. If there were no people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall here, she could always use the identity of the lonely little Buddha to save all living beings. But now that Yin Chang and the other two had seen her, after returning to the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, perhaps the people from the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall would have other thoughts and harm her. She wasn't afraid of anything else. The main reason was that she was afraid of being exposed. Therefore, it was best for her to achieve her goal and die in front of Enchanting and the other two. That way, there wouldn't be any future troubles. This fellow looked at the spring and instantly had a good idea of escaping death. However, he still needed to come up with more plans. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-35 Return of the Primordial Spirit. As time passed, Yun Shujio realized that the distance between her and Goei Batsao was getting closer and closer. She knew that she would be able to return to her primordial spirit very soon. Goei Batsao also realized this. If it weren't for the fact that it was afraid of being exposed, this fellow would have wanted to cry out loud. It was too fucking difficult. These days were simply not grass-like days. Although it could eat an unlimited amount of herbs at the beginning and read the script happily, but since it became a lonely little monk, it was worse than death. After 2 days and 2 nights, Yun Shujio's primordial spirit finally entered her body. She mentioned 3 days and 3 nights previously, firstly to stabilize her primordial spirit so that there would be no side effects, and secondly to stall for time to think of a way to escape death. Although Yun Shujio's primordial spirit had returned to her body, she didn't activate the string of Buddha beads that were used to disguise her Buddhist power. Moreover, she concealed her cultivation, so the people on the shore couldn't see any flaws. After she activated the water repellent bead, she dived into the water again. The people on the shore were already used to it. She dived into the water from time to time, so no one doubted her. After Yun Shujio reached the bottom of the water, she released the Goei Batsao and deliberately made the Goei Batsao appear in its smallest form so that no one would notice her. Goei Batsao, go along the spring and see where the spring leads to, Yun Shujio reminded. Goei Batsao immediately entered the spring. It happily waved its leaves and felt that it was more comfortable to make grass. Goei Batsao soon returned, but it and Yun Shujio soon discovered a problem. One person and one grass could not communicate. Fortunately, Yun Shujio had the water repellent bead. After isolating the spring water, she took out a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone, and let Goei Batsao draw what it saw. Yun Shujio saw what Goei Batsao drew, and her eyes immediately lit up. She was right. The bottom of the soul-strengthening spring led to the underground river. Although Goei Batsao did not explore the final exit of the underground river, the nearest river near the Bitter Zen sect was the Jade Belt River, which was 300 li away. The exit must be there. The Jade Belt River had already left the territory of the Zen of Bitterness. She would be able to escape smoothly then. This fellow checked her body and primordial spirit's condition again. Seeing that there was nothing abnormal, she activated the Buddha bead. The people on the bank had been observing little monk Lonely's condition. Now that she had recovered her cultivation, they could not help but exclaim in surprise. Enchanting and the other two also looked at the little monk lonesome. When they saw that she was only at the 9th stage of the yellow Buddha lotus realm, they couldn't help but show disdain in their eyes. Wasn't this so-called Buddha's cultivation too low? In order to show off, Yun Shujio activated the water repellent bead. Then, she sat cross-legged on the surface of the water, causing the crowd to exclaim in surprise. Yun Shujio slowly opened her eyes. A relic glowing with a lustrous glow appeared in her right palm. Enchanting and the other two narrowed their eyes. They could naturally tell that this relic was unusual. It was definitely a relic that only eminent monks could have, and it was very old. It seemed that this lone was really a Buddha. Otherwise, how could he have such a relic? Yun Shujio waved at Xian Hui. Xian Hui, this penniless monk's 3 tribulations have not been completed yet, so I can't leave the soul consolidation spring for the time being. Come and take the relic away, and then go search for those women. Amitabha. It's a sin for Buddhism to have a scum like Xianji. Xian Hui didn't have any objection to Yun Shujio's act of summoning a puppy. She went into the pool and took the saraira. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-36 Killing Lone Xian Hui understood in his heart that with this relic and the evidence of Xian Ji using the furnace and cauldron to cultivate, this sect master would be his. Therefore, he now found little monk Lone particularly pleasing to the eye. As for his dead disciple Yuan Guang, since he had committed suicide, he could not be blamed for Lone's death. He was a reasonable and accomplished monk, so naturally, he would not vent his anger on others. Xian Hui held the saraira and walked out of the soul-strengthening spring. With a fake smile, she said to Xian Ji, "Senior brother, now that little Buddha Lone has handed over the saraira, junior brother can only send people to search it. Anyway, senior brother, you said that there are no dirty matters, so you shouldn't be afraid of me bringing people to search it, right?" Xian Ji's face was livid, and the veins on his forehead were popping out. If it weren't for the presence of other people, he would have rushed forward and slapped Xian Hui to death. The moment Yun Chuzhou took out the relic, he knew that things were going to be bad. The only way to break out of this predicament was to kill Lone. As long as Lone died, he could argue that Lone was a demon and that everything he said was nonsense. In any case, the dead would not refute him. As for Xian Hui, he was a brainless person. He could easily deal with him with a few tricks. When Xian Ji thought of this, he suddenly raised his hand and a huge red Buddha lotus appeared in front of everyone. The red petals turned into sharp arrows and shot towards Lone, who was floating on the surface of the water. As Xian Ji's attack was too sudden, Master Liaowu and the others did not have the time to stop him. Even Yin Chang and the other two didn't expect Xian Ji to make a sudden move. If they joined hands, they could protect Lonely Monk, but they didn't plan to do so. They didn't want to confirm the identity of Lonely Buddha. It would be good if Xian Ji killed him. Yun Shijia's eyes lit up when she saw Xian Ji making a move. Very good, Xian Ji didn't disappoint her and used his attack to escape. Ah! Xian Ji, you! With a scream, Lonely Little Monk sank to the bottom of the water, and the surface of the water quickly turned red. At this time, Master Liaowu, the Lan family's ancestor, and Xian Hui had already joined hands to attack Xian Ji. After using the red lotus to protect himself, Xian Ji retreated to the vicinity of Yin Chang and the other two. Master Liaowu and the other two didn't dare to attack him, so they could only stop. Master Liaowu was so angry that he was trembling. "Why do you want to harm Lone?" Xian Ji snorted coldly. "Lone is obviously a demon, yet he deliberately played tricks to sow discord. He deserves to die. Moreover, if he really was a Buddha, how could he die so easily?" So, what he used before was just a camouflage. Xian Hui stretched his neck and roared, "Then how do you explain Master Liaowu's relic? Could it also be a camouflage?" Master Wang Zu's whereabouts were unknown at that time. Perhaps he was killed by the demon race. That's why that Lone had Master Wang Zu's relic. This just proves that he is from the demon race, Xian Ji sneered. Xian Hui was not as good at arguing as Xian Ji, so she did not know how to refute him. Xian Ji's eyes flashed with pride. He could see that Yin Chang and the other two did not want to confirm Lone's identity as a Buddha. With the three of them making the decision, Xian Hui would not be able to make any waves. Hence, he said, "Masters, the three of you have seen what happened. I have already killed Lone. He is not a Buddha but a demon with ulterior motives. Otherwise, he would not have been killed so easily by me." Yin Chang and the other two looked at each other. Yin Chang was about to agree with Xian Ji when he heard the crowd exclaiming. He looked up and saw several lotus flowers blooming on the surface of the water. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-37 continued. Everyone could not believe their eyes. They rubbed their eyes and realized that it was real. Those were the legendary Buddhist lotuses that were lost. And there were 9 of them. Just as everyone was in shock, an ethereal voice sounded, "The son of Buddha has returned, Xianzhi deserves to be killed. If Xianzhi is not eliminated, he will bring chaos to the world." Everyone waited for a moment, but the voice did not sound again. The Buddhist lotuses disappeared in front of everyone in an instant, leaving only the fragrance of the Buddhist lotuses lingering around. Xian Hui was the first to react. "Amitabha, no wonder the lotus flowers appeared. It turns out that the son of Buddha has returned. Xianzhi, you actually slandered the son of Buddha as a devil and even killed him. You deserve to die." Xianzhi's legs were a little weak. Even though he initially did not believe it, the scene just now really made him have no choice but to believe it. Could it be that Lone was really the son of Buddha? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have provoked him. It was really too late to regret. Chang and the other 2 obviously believed more than half of it. Putting everything else aside, this lotus was genuine. If Lone wasn't the son of Buddha, where did he get the lotus? However, to be on the safe side, Chang gave Zhao a look. Zhao immediately understood and jumped into the pool. Soon, he reached the surface of the water and said, "There's nothing inside." This time, everyone was even more convinced that Lonely Monk was a Buddha child. After all, if he was an ordinary person, there would be a corpse if he died. Seeing that Chang and the other 2's attitude had changed, Xian Hui immediately felt reassured. He said to everyone, "Everyone, please help me take down Xianzhi, so that he won't cause trouble for the common people." Master Liaowu and the old ancestor of the Lan family took the lead. Damn it, they had long disliked Xianzhi. The others also stepped forward to help. As the saying goes, when a wall falls, everyone pushes it down. Since Xianzhi's power was gone, they had nothing to worry about. Moreover, they were also present when Xianzhi killed lonely little Buddha. If they didn't do anything, what would they do if Buddha blamed them? Thus, everyone swarmed forward and quickly took Xianzhi down. At the same time, Xian Hui sent people to find a secret room under Xianzhi's meditation room. Many women were rescued from there, and some of them were even girls from the side branches of the 4 great aristocratic families. This time, everyone was even angrier. This Xianzhi was simply a human with a beast's heart. He said Amitabha, but in reality, he was doing something worse than a beast. He really deserved to be cut into 1,000 pieces. After Xian Hui asked Chang and the other 2 for instructions, he directly killed Xianzhi. Although he also wanted to learn some secrets from Xianzhi, he knew that his brain was not as good as Xianzhi's. If it was too late, the gains would not make up for the losses. Chang and the other 2 had mixed feelings. They originally thought that it would be fine if they went to the Bitter Zen sect and killed the person who activated the array formation. Who would have thought that they would actually cause so much trouble? Especially that Lone. Was he really the son of Buddha? However, it didn't matter whether he was the son of Buddha or not. He was already dead. Even though Xian Hui fawningly urged the other 2 to stay for a few more days, Chang and the other 2 still left the Bitter Zen sect. Everyone also took their leave. Xian Hui had just taken over as the sect master, so he was not in the mood to carry out his original plan. His priority now was to eliminate the remaining followers of Xianzhi. Therefore, after exchanging a few polite words, he sent everyone off. Master Liaowu and the ancestor of the Lan family were both extremely curious. Where did that troublemaker go? At this time, the troublemaker that they had been thinking about had already returned to the Zen sect. Of course, she had already changed back into female clothes. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-38 Dealing with the aftermath. The reason why this fellow returned to the Zen sect was that she should have been in the Zen sect as well. After all, the Zen sect had brought her here from the Lan family. Secondly, she had to prepare for a rainy day and deal with some trouble. Many people in the Zen sect knew that she had pretended to be lonely. After Chang and the other two returned, it was very likely that the 10,000 Buddha temple would send people to investigate again. Therefore, she had to make a move in advance and let Meng Yanshou erase the memory of her real identity for those who knew about it. Fortunately, only some elders and true disciples in the Zen sect knew about her identity. Otherwise, Meng Yanshou wouldn't have been able to complete it even if he was exhausted to death. When Master Liaowu returned to the Zen sect and saw the lively He Xinzhou, his nose suddenly felt sour. Although he guessed that this troublemaker had already escaped, he didn't see that she was still uneasy. He Xinzhou giggled. "Master, I have something to discuss with you. Can I talk to you in private?" Master Liaowu glared at her, but he still brought her to his meditation room. Yun Shuzhou told him her thoughts and didn't hide it. She let out the Meng Yanshou. Master Liaowu looked at the rabbit in front of him and his heart thumped. This thing was the legendary Meng Yanshou? What kind of joke was this? Meng Yanshou saw his suspicious gaze and directly slapped himself to death. Then, he revealed his true form. Master Liaowu was shocked. He finally believed it. He thought to himself, this little girl not only has Buddha Lotus, but also Master Meng Yanshou's relic. She actually has a nightmare beast? How did she get it? Master, do you believe me now? Just in case, I'm lonely. Other than you, there's no need for anyone else to know. Otherwise, the people of the 10,000 Buddhas' sacred hall will find out. In addition, there's no need for the 1,000 Buddhas' cave to exist anymore. Let's use some small means to make it collapse. In this way, the 10,000 Buddhas' sacred hall won't be able to find anything even if they come to investigate. As for the reason, it is already there. Since the lonely little Buddha has already returned to his position, then the collapse of the 1,000 Buddhas' cave is also a matter of course, Yun Shuzhou said. Master Liaowu couldn't help but nod his head. He felt rather regretful in his heart. If only this little girl was a man. He would take her in as his disciple no matter what. Unfortunately, fate played tricks on him. This was a little girl. Even if he called her master, he wouldn't be able to take her in. After the two of them discussed the details, they found a reason for Master Liaowu to hold a banquet. Everyone present was in the know. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 different dishes, apart from Yun Shuzhou and Master Liaowu, everyone else was knocked out. The nightmare beast began to weave dreams for everyone. It fabricated the life of the lonely little monk, who had been bowing to Buddha in the 1,000 Buddha cave since he was young. Then, it eliminated the matter of Yun Shuzhou pretending to be lonely. If it weren't for the fact that these people were in a coma, Meng Yanshou wouldn't have been able to complete it even if it was exhausted to death. Even so, Meng Yanshou was so tired that he couldn't even finish his words. Little fairy, I am going to hibernate. I have a new script. Remember to give it to me. Keep it for me, Yun Shuzhou, Master Liaowu. Yun Shuzhou judged that the 10,000 Buddhas' sacred hall would send people to investigate soon. It was not suitable for her to stay in the Zen sect anymore. Therefore, the next day, she returned to the Lan family under the escort of a Master Lei and others. After the ancestor of the Lan family called her over, he went straight to the point and asked, "Is that loneliness you're pretending to be?" Yun Shuzhou smiled lightly and said, "Ancestor, little Buddha loneliness has already returned to his position. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Why do you insist on staying here? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-39, Turning Leaves into Grass. When the Lan family's ancestor heard her words, he immediately understood that she was admitting the fact that she was lonely in disguise. He sighed. Although little monk Lonely has already returned to his position, there will be traces as long as he existed. The people of the 10,000 Buddhas' sacred hall will probably send people to the Zen sect to investigate. If the matter is leaked, the consequences will be unimaginable. Ancestor, what are you saying? That little monk Lonesome was originally the disciple of Master Liaowu. Since he was young, he has been paying respects to the Buddha at the Thousand Buddhas cave. There is nothing to be leaked, Yun Shujio said with a smile. The eyes of the Lan family's ancestor flashed, and his heart moved. Could it be that this troublemaker and the Zen sect had already prepared the aftermath? However, it was also true. This troublemaker had always been smart, so it was impossible for him not to have thought of this problem. Thinking of this, the worries of the Lan family's old ancestor dissipated a lot, and he said, "You go back and rest first." After Yun Shujio said goodbye, she returned to her own courtyard. The moment she entered the house, she saw a house full of herbs. She immediately thought of the days when Goei Batsao was so arrogant, and she was so angry that she scolded Goei Batsao a few hundred times. Goei Batsao in her dantian hung its leaves aggrievedly. Sigh, the river flows east for 30 years, and the river flows west for 30 years. Now, Goei Batsao could only use its leaves to make grass. Yun Shujio put the medicinal herbs into her storage ring and let Hong Ling and the other two in to clean up. Hong Ling and the other two saw that their miss had finally returned to normal. They were about to cry. It was not that they did not want to come in to clean up, but when the miss left previously, she fiercely warned them not to touch those medicinal herbs. How would they dare to come in? Taking advantage of the time when Hong Ling and the other two were cleaning the house, Yun Shujio arrived at the courtyard where Lang Yun and the others were. When Lang Yun saw Yun Shujio, he could not help but cover his storage ring tightly. He and his brothers' wives had all been plundered by her, so what were they doing here? Could it be that they wanted to sell them all? When Yun Shujio saw the wary gazes of Lang Yun and the others, she was so angry that she scolded Goei Batsao again. Yun Shujio comforted everyone for a while. Not only did she return the spirit stones that she owed them, but she also rewarded everyone with a lot of upper-grade spirit stones after giving them their monthly salary. Finally, she managed to pull them back. After Yun Shujio comforted everyone, she called Lang Yun to the side and whispered some things to him. Lang Yun's mouth was wide open, and his eyes were wide open. What was his miss trying to do? She was going to turn the sky upside down. However, she was the master, and he was the servant. He could only follow orders. After Yun Shujio finished instructing Lang Yun, she strolled around the street and happily returned to the third branch of the Lan family. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Lan Luofang. Lan Luofang saw her turn around and ran away. What a joke. If she didn't run away, she would have to force her to buy herbs again. Yun Shujio was speechless and could only shout, "Sister Luofang, I'm not buying herbs anymore. I'll return the money I owe you." Lan Luofang was skeptical. After receiving the spirit stones from Yun Shujio, she was sure that little Jiu was not crazy anymore. After Yun Shujio and Goei Batsao were dealt with, she returned to her own courtyard. She sorted out the recent events. Sigh, there were really a lot of troublesome things. Firstly, because of the existence of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall, she was temporarily unable to save her parents. Second, although she was struck by lightning last time, her cultivation did not increase at all. Instead, she was struck until her primordial spirit was separated from her body. The most important thing now was to think of a way to be struck by lightning. Otherwise, she would never be able to break through. Third, the Divine Devil Hall was always a hidden danger. She had to think of a way to help the pretty boy deal with them. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 5340 The Secret of Mount Meru. Yun Shujio thought about the things that she had arranged for Lang Yun and the others to do, and her mood became a little better. If things went smoothly, the Divine Devil Hall of the Chongshao continent would not be able to stir up much trouble in the future. The most important thing now was to be struck by lightning. Only by improving her cultivation base quickly could she have the chance to go to the Divine Enlightenment continent and get rid of the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall. A few days later, Master Liaowu sent a message to Yunchujiu. Sure enough, the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall had sent people to the Zen sect. However, they didn't find anything wrong and left very soon. Yunchujiu let out a sigh of relief. Now was not the time to confront the 10,000 Buddha's sacred hall directly. It was better not to provoke them. Yunchujiu had been hoping that Mount Meru would send down heavenly lightning again. However, as time passed day by day and there was still no heavenly lightning, Yunchujiu couldn't help but feel a little anxious. This was not the way to go on. It was better to find out the reason why Mount Meru was struck. Only then would she be able to take the initiative. Thinking of this, Yunchujiu greeted the Lan family's ancestor before leaving the imperial city and heading straight for Mount Meru. This fellow soon arrived at Mount Meru. Unfortunately, he did not find anything unusual after searching the entire area. This fellow could not help but feel a little discouraged. Therefore, she turned her grief and anger into her appetite. She hunted a snowstorm deer and began to roast the meat. Seeing that there was no one else around, she let out all the silly cuties and ate the roast meat together. Goei Batsao saw that Butt-Face had been flattering Yunchujiu and immediately became anxious. She kept trying to act cute. Yunchujiu recalled that Goei Bakao's performance in the bitter Zen sect was not bad, so she released this fellow out of kindness. As soon as the Goei Batsao was released, she immediately pulled Butt-Face aside with the grass leaves and squeezed him in front of Yunchujiu. Butt-Face was so angry. He couldn't live like this anymore. Xiao Hanio was in front of him, and Buddha's candle was behind him. Now that another Goei Batsao had jumped out, its position as the #1 spiritual pet was in danger. No, it had to make a contribution, or else the position of #1 spiritual pet would be handed over to them. However, it was just a useless snack now. What contribution could it make? Oh, if it could find the reason why Mount Meru was struck by lightning, it would definitely be a great contribution. Mount Meru must have something that was cursed by the heavens. Otherwise, the heavenly lightning wouldn't strike once a month. However, where was that thing hidden? Standing at a high vantage point, Dog 2 couldn't care less about eating roasted meat. It climbed to the highest peak of Mount Meru with a huff. This fellow looked around and looked around. His dog eyes widened. Haha. His position as the #1 spiritual pet had been saved. He immediately used his spiritual sense to say excitedly to Yunchujiu, "Little fairy, come over quickly. I've discovered the secret of Mount Meru." Soon, Yunchujiu came over with the jumping Goei Batsao beside her. Butt-Face looked at Goei Batsao with a smug look. "Little fellow, you want to compete with Butt-Face for the pet? Dream on." "What secret?" Yunchujiu asked impatiently. Butt-Face pointed to the distance with his paw. "Little fairy, look over there. Don't you find it familiar?" Yunchujiu looked in the direction that Goei Ba paw was pointing at. As she looked at it, her heart stirred. She hurriedly took out a piece of paper from her pocket. On the paper was a map. It was the pattern on the bluestone slabs that she had picked up from the Lianxing mountain range. And the map was exactly the same as the terrain in the distance. Yunchujiu's gaze fell on the conspicuous mark on the map. Could it be that the secret of Mount Meru was hidden there? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-41 was so angry that its leaves were curled up. Yunchujiu immediately brought Butt-Face to the place marked on the map. Butt-Face bared its teeth at Goei Batsao provocatively. "Little fellow, how could a dumb scheming grass fight with it? It was asking for a beating." Putting everything else aside, the name showed who was superior and who was inferior. It was Butt-Face, and Goei Batsao was just a part of it. And it was the most useless tail. Goei Batsao felt the disdain from Goei Batsao, and when it wasn't paying attention, it directly tripped it and made Goei Batsao eat mud. Goei Batsao was so angry that it shouted, "Little fairy, Goei Batsao bullied me." You have to make a decision for me. Yun Shujo was in a hurry to find the place marked on the map, so she directly glared at Goei Batsao. If you continue to cause trouble, I won't let you out in the future. Goei Batsao was instantly thrown into chaos. What did it do wrong? Didn't it just trip Buttface? This smelly girl treated it like this, it really made its heart chill. It was the grass that had accompanied her for the longest time. Its status was several times higher than that of Buttface, so why couldn't she see its good? The more Goei Batsao thought about it, the sadder it became. The more it thought about it, the sadder it became. It simply laid on the ground and didn't leave. Yun Shujo was in a hurry to find the place marked on the map, so she did not pay attention to Goei Batsao. As for Buttface, he was eager for Goei Batsao to get lost, so he did not say anything. Goei Batsao saw that Yun Shujo and Buttface were getting further and further away. It was so angry that its leaves were curled up. It decided that it would never come out again. Even if that stupid girl was in danger, it would not care. It was just a vessel for it. It had nothing to do with its life or death. Humph. Just as Goei Batsao was thinking about it, it heard Yun Shujo shouting from afar, Goei Batsao, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and get over here. Goei Batsao immediately jumped up and ran over happily. It had completely forgotten what it was thinking just now. This fellow was trying to find a way out for itself. Although it had nothing to do with the life and death of this wretched girl, it had a large amount of grass for Xiao Moga's sake, so it forgave her this time. As for that Buttface, it's not too late for Goei Batsao to take revenge. Let's wait and see. Yun Shujo ignored the jealousy between Buttface and Goei Batsao. Her gaze fell on a cliff in front of her. This cliff was where the marked mark on the map was. Could it be that there was something that could attract heavenly lightning? Hey, is there anyone inside? I'm here to save you. Yun Shujo stretched her neck and shouted a few times, but other than her echo, there was no other movement. She rolled her eyes, raised her hand, and several bolts of lightning struck the stone wall. However, there was still no reaction. Yun Shujo originally wanted to use the talisman to blow up the stone wall, but then she remembered that Mount Meru not only prohibited flying, but also couldn't use the talisman. This fellow had no choice but to pick up the large kitchen knife and start hacking. After this fellow hacked for a while, Buttface pointed to the sky and said, Little fairy, congratulations, you're going to be struck by lightning. Yun Shujo looked up and saw that Wu Yun had started to gather. Wu Yun narrowed her eyes. It seemed that the thing hidden behind the stone wall was not a trivial matter. Otherwise, Wu Yun would not have come as soon as she started to strike. It seemed that she had found a good way to be struck by lightning. It was really something to celebrate. Yun Shujo looked at the Wu Yun in the sky and narrowed her eyes again. Very good. It was the Wu Yun that had struck her Yuan Shen out of her body last time. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-42 was in big trouble. Wu Yun in the sky was also feeling very complicated. Last time, she thought that she had killed this scourge, but she did not expect that not only was she not dead, but she even found this place. It was simply courting death. The secret of this place must not be exposed to the public, so she was in big trouble. Even if it could not kill her, the dark clouds that followed would also kill Wu Yun. Yun Shujo inexplicably felt Wu Yun's gloating and her heart tightened. She felt that it was not appropriate for her to stay here for long. Therefore, she put Buttface into the spirit beast bag and ran away. As this guy ran, he felt that he seemed to have forgotten something. Forget it, it should be something not too important. Goei Batsao that was left behind, have you forgotten your little cutie? This wasn't all Yun Shujia's fault. After all, Goei Batsao was only recently exposed. She wasn't used to having such a thing by her side. Moreover, Goei Batsao was only formed from spiritual power. It wouldn't affect anything even if it dissipated. All she had to do was release it again. But Go-Wei Butsao didn't think so. This fellow felt that even though it was now a small treasury, the wretched girl didn't care about its life and death. It was simply an ingrate's act of madness. It was too chilling. This fellow thought for a moment, but still waved its leaf and chased after it. It wasn't helping it, but wanted to see the little girl's bad luck with its own eyes. It had already sensed that the little girl was about to face a great disaster. Now, let's see if Dog 2 was still showing off. Pooey. It was just a fierce beast, yet it still dared to show off in front of it. It really didn't know whether it was dead or alive. Wu Yun in the sky saw that Yun Chujiu actually wanted to escape, so she naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. She began to hack at Yun Chujiu, wanting to delay time and wait for reinforcements to arrive. Seeing Wu Yun like this, Yun Chujiu was even more convinced that there was a conspiracy. She had to leave Mount Meru's no-fly zone before Wu Yun's main army arrived. Otherwise, her little life would be finished today. However, the stone wall from before was in the deepest part of Mount Meru. The path was very difficult to traverse. Even if she used all her strength, she still did not dare to leave Mount Meru before Wu Yun's reinforcements arrived. At this moment, everything within a radius of 1,000 li fell into darkness. Under the immense pressure, all of Mount Meru's demonic beasts exploded and died. Not a single one survived. In the imperial city, those with weaker cultivation bases were forced to spit out blood under the pressure. Even the Lan family's patriarch felt his chest tighten and he could not breathe. His heart sank. That troublemaker had gone to Mount Meru. Could it be that he had stirred up some great disaster? Just the gathering of Wu Yun was already so powerful. Once the heavenly lightning struck, how could he survive? The Lan family's ancestors sighed and couldn't care about anything else. He immediately ordered all the people in the imperial city to leave with him to avoid this disaster. The other nearby cities were the same. They quickly fled on flying spirit tools, afraid that they would die if they were even half a step late. Go-Wei Butsao had already caught up to Yun Chujiu. Seeing this terrifying scene, although it wasn't afraid, it couldn't help but worry for Yun Chujiu. It's over, it's over. This time, the smelly girl was going to die. But Face, who was in the spirit beast bag, was so regretful that its intestines turned green. If it knew this would happen, it would rather not make a contribution. If the little girl died, they definitely wouldn't be able to live. Yun Chujiu didn't stop. She continued to run as fast as she could. When she saw the demonic beasts that exploded and died, her heart was filled with guilt and anger. Why did this damn Wu Yun decide the life and death of these demonic beasts? Why? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-43, Insignificant. Go-Wei Butsao sensed Yun Chujiu's thoughts. It waved its leaves and dashed forward with all its might while cursing in its heart. What an idiot. Why? Because Wu Yun was the will of Tian Dao. Not to mention the demon beasts, even killing all the living beings on the 3,000 continents would be a piece of cake for Tian Dao. The things that Tian Dao wanted to kill had no value. Thinking of this, Go-Wei Butsao glanced at Hei Xinjiu, who was running desperately. Cough, cough. Of course, there were also accidents. For example, this smelly girl. Tian Dao had killed her many times, but he still couldn't kill her. Just as Go-Wei Butsao was thinking, Yun Chujiu suddenly turned around and ran back. Go-Wei Butsao was completely dumbfounded. Was this smelly girl's brain damaged? Why did she still run back? She could only use the flying spiritual weapon outside the no-fly zone. Wouldn't she be courting death by running back? Of course, Yun Chujiu's brain wasn't damaged. She had already realized that no matter how fast she ran, she wouldn't be able to leave the no-fly zone in a short period of time. This time, Wu Yun was coming at her aggressively. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Therefore, it was basically an extravagant hope for her to leave the no-fly zone. Since that was the case, she might as well go back to the bottom of the cliff. Since it was fine to be struck by lightning month after month, it meant that the cliff must be very resistant to lightning. Perhaps she could find a chance to survive there. At this moment, several dark clouds struck down countless lightning bolts, heading straight for Yunchujo. Goei Batsao almost subconsciously turned to its maximum and supported Yunchujo. Yunchujo stopped in her tracks and continued to run forward. Goei Batsao was struck by the heavenly lightning and instantly dissipated. This fellow sighed in his heart. It was too weak now. It was only slightly stronger than Butt-Face. Just as he was thinking, Yunchujo released him again. Then, he was instantly struck and dissipated. After releasing Goei Batsao frequently, Yunchujia's spiritual power was quickly depleted, and there was still a long way to go before she reached the cliff. She smiled bitterly in her heart. She was afraid that she would not be able to survive today. She did not know what secret was hidden in the cliff that made Tian Dao so angry. Even when she cursed Tian Dao previously, it did not reach such a terrifying level. Rumble. 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 Several bolts of lightning struck down once again. At that instant, the light illuminated the entire sky. Yunchujo could even faintly see the dark clouds trembling with pride. She could not help but reveal a bitter smile. Previously, she had thought that Wu Yun was nothing special. Which time had she not been frightened by her and fled? Only now did she understand that she was wrong. She was extremely wrong. Previously, it was just that Tian Dao did not take her seriously. Now that she had taken her seriously, she finally realized how insignificant she was. In essence, she was no different from those demonic beasts. She was just an ant that was waiting to be slaughtered. However, even so, Tian Dao did not have the right to kill her. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, she had to survive. Thinking of this, she activated all the defensive spirit tools on her body and gritted her teeth as she continued to run towards the cliff. However, with just one strike, all the spirit tools were reduced to dust. Under the might of the heavens, those spirit tools could not withstand a single strike. Another wave of heavenly lightning struck down. Yunchujo could not avoid it and was struck squarely. A huge pit instantly appeared on the ground. Before Yunchujo could jump out of the pit, another wave of heavenly lightning struck down. Yunchujo gritted her teeth and summoned little Wu Yun. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-44 was so painful that Xiao Mogu even forgot about it. Yunchujo flew out of the deep pit on a small dark cloud and headed straight for the cliff. Wu Yun was her last trump card. If it wasn't a last resort, she didn't want to use it. But now, she could only place her hopes on Wu Yun. Wu Yun faced the lightning and brought Yunchujo along as they quickly floated towards the cliff. When those Wu Yun saw little Wu Yun, the lightning struck down even more violently. In their eyes, little Wu Yun was a disgrace to the Wu Yun world, a traitor to the Wu Yun world. She had actually become a human's personal pet. She was simply unworthy of being a Yun. Little Wu Yun was still in her infancy stage. How could she be a match for those big Wu Yun? In an instant, she was on the verge of collapsing. If she did not rely on the ruthlessness in her heart to hold on, she would have long been struck to sleep. Even though little Wu Yun tried her best, she was still unable to send Yunchujo to the cliff. With her last bit of strength, she landed on the ground. Yunchujo put away the little Wu Yun with reddened eyes and continued to run forward. Boom! 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 Heavenly lightning struck Yunchujia's body continuously. She was covered in blood as she lay at the bottom of the pit. Other than her eyes, she could not even move any other parts of her body. Guai Chao was secreting juice to repair Yunchujia's body while cursing in his heart. Let's see, wouldn't it still have to rely on its dog tail in the end? Without it, this stupid girl would have died countless times. Only it had a large amount of go-weiba and did not care about the past. This stupid girl really did not know how to be grateful. Yun Shujo could no longer feel the bone-piercing pain because she was already numb from the pain. She looked at the heavenly lightning that kept striking down and her heart was filled with unwillingness. Was she going to die just like that? What did she do wrong for Tian Dao to want to kill her? Heavenly lightning spirit root? It was really laughable. This was not something that she could decide. Since there was a heavenly lightning spirit root in this world, there was a reason for it to exist. Was it because of the thing in the cliff? That thing was not something that she had built, and it had nothing to do with her. If Tian Dao had the ability, why didn't he destroy that thing? Instead, he took it out on himself? He was really picking on the weak. Yun Shujo suddenly had a thought and used her spiritual sense to say to Guai Chao, Tian Dao wants to kill me, but I think it should be aimed at my primordial spirit. If you immediately seize control of the body, you might be able to escape this calamity. Gowei Batsao rejected this suggestion from the bottom of his heart. Other things aside, this wretched girl's body could not be any more miserable. If it wanted to possess her body, it would feel the same. How painful would that be? However, it also knew that this might be the only way to escape, so it could only bite the bullet and seize control of Yun Shuji's body. The moment it possessed her, Gowei Batsao was in so much pain that it even forgot about Xiao Mogu. It was too fucking painful. How did this wretched girl endure it? Gowei Batsao even suspected that Yun Shujo was deliberately messing with it. It was so painful that it even suspected that the grass was growing. This fellow thought that if the heavenly lightning continued to strike down, it would return the control of its body to that stupid girl no matter what. This was simply too unbearable. However, contrary to Gowei Bakeo's expectations, the heavenly lightning really did not strike down again. Io, could this trick really work? Gowei Batsao simply closed its eyes and adjusted its aura to the lowest level, pretending to be dead. Wu Yun in the sky seemed to be a little suspicious. Although he did not continue to strike the heavenly lightning, it did not disperse. For a moment, both sides were in a stalemate. Gowei Batsao used this time to quickly repair Yun Shuji's bloody body. At the same time, she did not forget to provoke the other two holdouts in her dantian. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-45 Gowei Batsao felt that the black bead and the great void mirror could not be compared to it. It was as if they had eaten their fill for nothing. The great void mirror and the black bead turned a blind eye to its provocation. They did not have the slightest reaction. Gowei Batsao could not help but mutter in a low voice, "Stupid girl, did you see that? Among your spiritual pets, I am the most reliable one. The rest of them have eaten their fill for nothing." Yun Shujo almost died from anger. "You idiot. Shut up." Before Yun Shujo could finish her sentence, several bolts of lightning struck down. Gowei Batsao, if time could be reversed, it would definitely be a competent mute. This fellow grimaced in pain and said, "Anyway, it's already exposed. It's better for you to do it." Before Yun Shujo could react, Gowei Batsao returned the control of its body to her. Yun Shujo wished that she could strangle the Gowei Batsao to death. Now that she had been exposed, the trick of deceiving the world was useless. How was she going to reach the cliff? Another few waves of heavenly lightning struck down. Yun Shujo could not even move her eyes. She felt that she was going to die this time. At this moment, the Gowei Batsao in her dantian suddenly seized control of Yun Shuji's body. Yun Shujo was stunned. She used her spiritual sense to ask, "Gowei Batsao, what do you want to do?" Gowei Batsao quickly repaired Yun Shuji's body with its juice. Only then did it manage to say one word, "whip." After saying that, Go-Wei Batsao returned the control of her body to Yun Shujo again. Yun Shujo was stunned at first, then she understood Go-Wei Bakao's meaning. That's right. She could release Go-Wei Batsao and let it send her flying. Although the fall might be terrible, no matter how terrible it was still better than being struck to death by lightning. However, she had little spiritual power left, so she had to calculate the angle well. Otherwise, she would really die. Yun Shujo quickly thought of the topographic map of Mount Meru and chose the shortest path before releasing Go-Wei Batsao. The first thing the Go-Wei Batsao had to do was to pull Yun Shujo to the ground first and then send her flying. Unfortunately, the Go-Wei Batsao had just pulled Yun Shujo to the ground when it dissipated. Yun Shujo had no choice but to use all her strength to release the Go-Wei Batsao again. She used her spiritual sense to say, "Go-Wei Batsao, don't you know how to save a small amount of money?" The Go-Wei Batsao was instantly delighted. That's right, how could it forget this skill? It could completely create the illusion of dispersing to deceive those silly clouds. This way, it could accumulate its strength and send the smelly girl to the cliff. Yun Shujo released Go-Wei Batsao again. Go-Wei Batsao used all its strength to send Yun Shujo flying with its leaves. Then, before the heavenly lightning struck, it created the illusion of dispersing. Wu Yun in the sky looked at Hei Shinjo, who was sent flying by its spiritual beast, and was somewhat dumbfounded. What was going on? Internal strife? Yun Shujo calculated the time when she was about to land and released the Go-Wei Batsao again. The Go-Wei Batsao waved its leaves and sent her flying again. In this way, not only would she save time, but she could also avoid the tragic result of Hei Shinjo falling to her death. Wu Yun finally regained his senses and slashed at Hei Shinjo. However, Hei Shinjo, who was sent flying, flew very quickly. The heavenly lightning could not strike her accurately, and she miraculously survived to the bottom of the cliff. Yun Shujo felt complicated when she saw the hole that she had made with her kitchen knife. However, it was not the time to think about it now. She gritted her teeth and crawled to the bottom of the hole. She thought that the hole had formed a barrier. Even if the heavenly lightning could turn, it would consume a large part of the power of the lightning. She should be able to catch her breath for a moment. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-46 was actually. Yun Shujo was pleasantly surprised to find that the heavenly lightning had actually stopped. Yun Shujo was puzzled. Could it be that the heavenly lightning did not dare to strike this cliff? Did it strike Mount Meru just to prevent humans from approaching this place? This fellow's eyes immediately lit up. It was true. After thinking about it carefully, the heavenly lightning that she had encountered earlier did not strike in this direction. How stupid was she? If she had thought of this earlier, why would she be struck into such a miserable state? However, it was not too late to think about it now. Once her body recovered, she would deal with this group of Wu Yun. Yun Shujo took out a handful of pills and swallowed them. After recovering some strength, she took out a roasted chicken and started to eat it. Only after filling her stomach would she have the strength to take revenge. Go-Wei Batsao also waved its grass leaves and flew over at this moment. When it saw that Yun Shujo was actually eating chicken, it could not help but shake its leaves. This smelly girl's heart was really big. Even at this time, she still did not forget to eat. After Yun Shujo finished eating and drinking, the injuries on her body were almost healed by Go-Wei Batsao. She sighed in her heart. Although this Go-Wei Batsao was sometimes unreliable, it was still very useful. In the future, she should not scold it too much. Yun Shujo rested for a while and took out her kitchen knife to continue cutting the cliff. This fellow gritted his teeth as he thought, I want to see what made Tian Dao so angry. Yun Shujia's actions clearly angered the dark clouds. The thunder rumbled non-stop, but they all struck the side of the cliff and did not land on the cliff. Yun Shujo had another guess in her heart. It was probably not that Wu Yun did not dare to cut the cliff, but that the cliff was set up with a formation so that the thunder could not strike it. With this understanding, Zingius hacking became more and more joyful. There must be a treasure hidden in this cliff. Imrich. Imrich. It was not in vain for me to be hacked so miserably. This fellow kept hacking and hacking. She did not know what mechanism he had accidentally touched. A white light flashed in front of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in a cave. Goei Batsao, who was left on the spot, have you forgotten your little cutie again? Yun Shujo looked around and found that the cave was ordinary. There was only a yellowed sheepskin scroll on the stone platform in front of her. Yun Shujo could not help but feel a little disappointed. After all the trouble, there was only such a thing hidden inside? However, this fellow thought about it again. Perhaps it was a treasure map or something like that, and his mood became a little better. She did not dare to rashly take the sheepskin scroll. Instead, she released Goei Batsao again and asked it to help her bring the sheepskin scroll over. Goei Batsao really wanted to ignore her, but it was also curious about what was written on the sheepskin scroll, so it jumped over, wrapped the sheepskin scroll with its leaves, and handed it to Yun Shujo. Yun Shujo saw that there was nothing unusual, so she took the sheepskin scroll. However, she found that the sheepskin scroll was only half finished, and the back part had been cut off with a sharp weapon. The sheepskin scroll was written in ancient characters, so she had to let Dog 2 out and let it read it to her. But Face was feeling guilty about what had happened before. Now that he had the chance to make up for it, he naturally cherished it. He ignored Goei Bakao's provocation and read it seriously. This is a secret of the celestial race. It is of great importance and is kept a secret. If it were to appear in the world, our celestial race would definitely suffer a huge loss. I hope that the fated people can lend a hand to our descendants. Yun Shujo was stunned. This sheepskin scroll was actually a secret of the God clan. What kind of great secret was it that made it sound so solemn? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-47, The Deity and Demon Race. But Face continued to read. In the ancient Mesozoic era, the continent was divided into two. The ruler was the deity and demon race. The deity and demon race were actually the same ancestors. Yun Shujo, holy shit. Did it have to be so exciting? The deity and demon race, these two sworn enemies, were the same ancestors? Wait, what kind of relationship did the deity and demon race have with the deity and demon temple? She suppressed the astonishment in her heart and listened to Butt Face continue reading. The general meaning was that the two continents had been occupied by the two families of the celestial race and the demon race. As the conflict became deeper and deeper, the two continents finally had a war. It was because of that war that the two continents fell apart and became the 3,000 continents today. What happened after that? Yun Shujo asked urgently. But Face waved the sheepskin scroll in his hand. There's nothing after that. It was broken by someone. Yun Shujo was extremely aggrieved. Just when she was engrossed in listening, he told her that there was nothing after that. However, even the information she had obtained now was enough to shock her. No wonder Emperor Shen said that there was a big secret hidden in the ancient Mesozoic era. It was really too sensational. The celestial race and the demon race were actually the same ancestor. They even fought foolishly for tens of thousands of years. Weren't they full of themselves? Also, how freakishly strong were the celestial and demon race back then? They actually tore the two continents apart and turned them into 3,000 continents? Wasn't this destructive power too terrifying? Most importantly, what relationship did the celestial and demon race have with the celestial and demon race? If the master of the god-demon temple was the god-demon race, oh my god, that would be too terrifying. Why did Tian Dao stop the sheepskin scroll from appearing? What was it afraid of? Also, what was recorded in the second half of the sheepskin scroll? And who would have it? The more Yunchujo thought about it, the more she felt a headache. She couldn't figure it out for a long time. Goei Batsao, who was at the side, wasn't interested in these things. This fellow hooked the leaves of the grass at Buttface. It was obvious that he wanted to teach Buttface a lesson. Buttface's eyes flashed. It was not strong enough to be fooled. Yunchujo quickly understood. Although she could not understand it now, the day would come when the clouds would rise again. There was no need to dwell on it. She thought for a while and asked Goei Batsao to put the sheepskin scroll back into the distance. This thing would attract the wrath of Tian Dao. It was better to stay here. Moreover, with this thing in Mount Meru, she would have an endless supply of heavenly lightning to absorb. Only a fool would kill the chicken to get the egg. However, how could she leave this place? This fellow wandered around for a long time but still could not find a way to leave. After thinking for a moment, he bowed respectfully to the stone platform. Since I have seen this sheepskin scroll, I will definitely help the celestial race to take revenge. Please send me out of here. She was also desperate. Who would have thought that a white light would flash before her eyes and she would appear at her original location? How could this work? However, no matter what, she was finally out. As for the celestial enemies, they were most likely related to the divine devil Hull. When the time came, she would help the celestials take revenge. However, what about the Wuyun outside? Once she left the cliff, she would be struck by lightning again. Wuyun rolled her eyes and arrived outside the cliff. She used the sticky threads to climb up. The dark clouds couldn't do anything. Even if they were the heavenly lightning that was aimed at Yunchujo, they would eventually deviate and fall somewhere else. Yunchujo quickly climbed to the highest point of the cliff. A sinister smile appeared on her face. She began to secretly stab and bleed. She had suffered a great deal today. She would be letting herself down if she didn't get more cloud wings. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-48 The fairy. After Yunchujo poured enough blood, she realized that the dark clouds were quite far away from her, and the little Wuyun had gone into hibernation. How could she get the blood onto the dark clouds? This guy blinked his eyes, then put one hand on his waist and pointed at the dark clouds in the sky and shouted, "Hey, you useless snacks. Come and chop me. You blind idiots. Don't you know that I'm a fairy? You want to chop me to death? You're really courting death. Come on, chop me if you can. A bunch of cowards. If you don't chop me to death today, you'll be a bunch of bastards." Wuyun was obviously very angry, especially some of the newbies. They wished that they could chop Hei Shinjo to death right away. Wasn't this brat relying on that cliff? If it wasn't for that cliff, she would have been killed by it long ago. Yunchujo provoked them and said, "TSK, do you think I'm relying on this cliff? TSK. Even without this cliff, I'm not afraid of you. I'll go down now and see who dares to kill me." When the dark clouds heard that, they immediately gathered towards Yunchujo, ready to strike her to death with one strike. Yunchujo climbed down while muttering softly, "What a bunch of idiots. They're floating so high, it'll be weird if they can strike me." Wuyun, who had suffered a loss before, instantly came to a realization. Oh no. This disaster was most likely going to cause trouble again. However, they did not tell this guess to the other rookie clouds. The reason was very simple. Why were they tricked by this scourge while the other clouds were not tricked? This was not fair. Hence, the few scheming clouds secretly drifted far away, gloating over their misfortune as they prepared to watch the show. The pitiful rookie clouds did not know what was going on. After hearing Yunchujius muttering to herself, they almost laughed out loud. This scourge was really stupid. She actually said what was on her mind. Wasn't she showing them the way? Therefore, they all descended to the ground, preparing to kill Yunchujo when she landed. Yunchujo saw that those silly clouds were getting closer and closer to the ground. Her little heart was beating non-stop. Yuni was going to be in her hands again. Yunchujo thought as she climbed down the cliff and took a few steps forward. When the dark clouds saw that Yunchujo had really left the cliff, they were so excited that they were trembling. Hack her to death. At this moment, Yunchujo took out her cloud fishing rod and started to swing it around. There was a round ball on the hook, which contained Yunchujo's blood. Yunchujo had specially asked the Qing family to help her build it, so that it could be used to fish for Yun-Yi. Yunchujo swung the ball hard, and several holes appeared on the ball. The blood in the ball splashed everywhere, and the distance was very far. At the same time, Yunchujo took a few steps back and returned to the safe zone. However, Wu Yun was unlucky. All the Yun wings that were splashed by Yunchujo's blood flew towards He Xinzhou spontaneously, without any intention of missing their old master. Those new Wu Yun were completely dumbfounded. What happened? Who were they? Where were they? What were they doing? Yunchujo watched as the Yun wings flew over one by one, and the cloud fishing rods swayed even more happily. However, the blood in the ball was quickly depleted. This fellow was very regretful. If she had known that these Wu Yun were so stupid, she would have endured the pain and bled more. What a mistake. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-49 had never suffered such grievance at this moment. The Wu Yun were both afraid and angry. Their hard-earned cloud wings had been taken away by that scourge just like that. The thing that puzzled them the most was why would the cloud wings acknowledge her as their master when her blood splashed onto the cloud wings? However, seeing that there was no more blood in the ball, the Wu Yun felt a little more at ease. Moreover, they realized that if they had not fallen into the trap and lowered their altitude, the scourge would not have been able to abduct their wings. Therefore, Wu Yun rose higher and higher. They were determined. They did not believe that the scourge would hide in the cliff for the rest of her life. If they did not kill her this time, they would not go back. He Xinzhou quickly discovered the plans of the Wu Yun. This fellow was not worried, but happy instead. She could not wait for these Wu Yun to guard here. If that was the case, wouldn't she have an inexhaustible power of lightning? She took this opportunity to improve her cultivation. Although a rapid increase in cultivation might cause her foundation to be unstable, it was a rare opportunity that could not be missed. At most, she would think of ways to stabilize her cultivation later. Thus, this fellow set up camp on the cliff. Anyway, this fellow had a lot of food in his storage ring. He did not need to worry about food and drink. This fellow's daily routine was to cultivate, eat, and sleep. When he had nothing to do, he would still anger those Wu Yun. It was simply wonderful. When the lightning power in her body was exhausted, she would go out to absorb some lightning power and continue cultivating. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. The dark clouds in the sky were so angry that they were about to die. They felt that if they continued to stay here, that wretched girl might even ascend. They were too angry with the clouds. They had never been wronged like this before. Woo, this scourge was simply not human. She was just a pervert. In the end, the dark clouds poured down a torrential rain and floated away with silent wails. Yunchujo waved her claws and shouted with a smile, "Hey, don't go. Just stay for a few more days." Wu Yun was so angry that she was trembling. "Play my ass. If you continue to play, it'll make you, a scourge, soar into the sky." After the rain stopped, Yunchujo tidied up for a while and then slowly walked out of the cliff. Mount Meru had been struck by lightning for the past few days and had already been turned into the Valley of Meru. The land was charred black and there were no living beings. There was not even a single blade of wild grass. It was exceptionally desolate. However, Yun Shujo believed that it would not be long before this place regained its vitality. This was the tenacity of life. Chapter 5350. The things that Yun Shujo had told him. Hearing the words of the Lan family's patriarch, Yun Shujo bared her little white teeth. If Wu Yun hadn't left because of homesickness, I would have been able to advance 2 levels. What a pity. The Lan family's patriarch, he had lived for nearly 1,000 years and only managed to cultivate to the 8th level of the spirit extinguisher level. However, this troublemaker had broken through to the peak of the 6th level of the spirit extinguisher level in 2 months. It was simply infuriating. The patriarch of the Lan family was in an extremely complicated mood. For a moment, he did not even have the mood to teach Hei Shinjo a lesson. He waved his hand and said, "You can go back first. Come back another day." Yun Shujo did not say anything else and left obediently. After Yun Shujo left, the masked old man walked out of the secret door behind the bookshelf stiffly. He had also heard Yun Shuji's words. At this moment, his mood was also very complicated. The Heavenly Thunder Spirit Root was indeed worthy of being called the Heavenly Thunder Spirit Root. The speed of this breakthrough was really too astonishing. The two of them were silent for a long time before the old man said, "Master, Yun Shuji's talent is better than what we expected. This is more beneficial to our plan. When do you plan to tell her the truth?" The Lan family's ancestor closed his eyes and was silent for a moment. "No rush, wait a little longer. How is Luo Chen?" Young Master Luo Chen's cultivation has reached the peak of the 7th level of the spirit extinguisher realm, but his realm is still not very stable, the old man said. He could not help but sigh in his heart. All of them were freaks. As long as there was an opportunity, this breakthrough would be as easy as eating. The ancestor of the Lan family knocked on the table with his finger. "After his realm is stable, let him come back." Yes. After Hei Shinjo left the Lan family's ancestral house, she did not go back to the 3 houses of the Lan family. Instead, she went to the courtyard where Lang Yun and the others were stationed. When Lang Yun saw Yun Shujo, he collapsed on the ground with a thud. Oh my God. It had only been 3 months since they last saw each other. How could their master's cultivation level rise so fast? Although his cultivation level was lower than Yun Shuji's and he did not know what Yun Shuji's cultivation level was at the moment, he could feel that his abnormal master's cultivation level had improved a lot compared to the past. Yun Shujo could not help but laugh when she saw his appearance. She said with a chuckle, "How is the task I asked you to do?" Ling Yun quickly got up and said, "Everything is going smoothly." Now, whether it is the Bitter Zen sect or the Qi family, they are constantly at odds with the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Shujo narrowed her eyes. The task she had arranged for Lang Yun and the others to do previously was to use the name of the Divine Devil Hall to cause trouble everywhere. Although it was just a trivial matter, it was fermented bit by bit, it was enough to cause friction between them. When their conflict could not be reconciled, it would be the best time for the various major powers to join forces to attack the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Shujo ordered Lang Yun and the others to fan the flames appropriately without exposing their identities and to guide the public opinion. Only then did they return to the 3rd branch of the Lan family. The moment she entered the door of the 3rd branch, she was invited to Lan Dimeo's study. Lan Dimeo had also guessed that the heavenly thunder on Mount Meru was related to Yun Shujo. However, now that Yun Shujo was directly listening to the arrangements of the Lan family's ancestor, he could not interfere, so he rarely interfered with Yun Shuji's matters. However, he still had to give her a good beating. Otherwise, how would he, his great-uncle, have any face? Therefore, Lan Dimeo's face was stern. He was prepared to give Yun Shujo a scolding the moment she entered. However, when he realized that he could not see through Yun Shuji's cultivation, he was immediately confused. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-51. Lon Di Mayo felt that he was hallucinating. Otherwise, how could he not see through the cultivation of this troublemaker? Or else, the ancestor had given her some treasure to hide her cultivation? He asked curiously, "Little Joe, what is your cultivation now?" "Sigh, uncle, you also know that my aptitude is not good and my talent is average, so my cultivation speed is really too slow. Right now, I am only at the peak of the 6th level of spirit extinguisher." "Isn't it a little low?" Yunchujo said with a smile. "Lon Di Mayo, aptitude isn't good? Talent is average? Cultivation speed is too slow? Cultivation is a little low?" He wanted to beat someone up. He wanted to strangle this troublemaker who was taking advantage of him. Lon Di Mayo felt that his entire person was in bad shape. This troublemaker actually broke through to the peak of level 6 of spirit extinguisher. He was only at the peak of level 5 of spirit extinguisher, alright? Lon Di Mayo was the same as the Lon family's ancestor, and at this moment, he didn't want to speak. Thus, he said a few words perfunctorily and sent Yunchujo away. As for the words that he was prepared to reprimand, what was there to say? If he could break through so many times in a row, it wouldn't matter even if he broke through the heavens. Yunchujo thought of the stiff expressions of the Lon family's ancestor and Lon Di Mayo and couldn't help but laugh. As expected, the strong were respected. It seemed that cultivating properly was the right path. However, the speed of her improvement this time was a little fast. Her foundation wasn't very stable, so she couldn't break through rashly in the near future. Therefore, for the next period of time, Yunchujo didn't go out much. She had been cultivating in the courtyard. The battle between Buttface, Buddha's Candle, and Goei Bakayo's #1 spiritual pet was also going on like wildfire. There would be a few fights every day. Yunchujo couldn't be bothered with them. She would only scold them when things got out of hand. Only with competition would there be progress. Moreover, she was happy to watch the show. Those dumb cuties were also watching the show. They felt that these three were really idle. Xiao Hanyo, on the other hand, was calm and composed. He sneered in his heart. "No matter how hard you fought, you wouldn't be able to compete with my position in the little girl's heart. You three idiots." That night, Hei Shinjo was watching Buttface and the others fighting over the pet. Di Baiming's clear voice came from outside the door. "Xiao Zhou, open the door." Yunchujo was delighted. The gigolo was here. This guy thought to himself, this gigolo had finally made some progress under her training. At least, he wouldn't smash the door. She was happy, but Goei Butsao trembled. That jinx won't settle the score later, right? The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became. Therefore, when Di Baiming came in, she saw a grass kneeling on the ground. Di Baiming glanced at her and directly waved his palm to disperse her. "Goei Butsao, fine. You're ruthless. You'll never be able to sleep with that stinky girl in your life." Seeing Goei Butsao dissipate, Buttface gloated and said obsequiously, "Your Excellency, you're here? I haven't seen you for a few days, and you're becoming more and more brilliant. Get out." "Okay. I will get out now." Buttface scrambled out of the bedroom. What a joke. That Goei Butsao was only a spiritual beast. It didn't matter if it dissipated, but if it did, it would really dissipate. Buddha's Candle saw that the situation was not good and returned to Yunchuji's left palm. Di Baiming looked at his little wife and felt very stifled. There was Guai Chao, the great void mirror, and the black bead in his dantian. There was Buddha's Candle in his left hand and a small flame in his right hand. There were also a few drifters hidden between his brows, not to mention the bunch of idiots in the spiritual beast pouch. Was this his wife or the wives of these idiots? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The Divine Devil race and the Divine Devil race were both descendants of the Divine Devil race? He thought for a moment and said, regardless of whether there is a connection or not, the Divine Devil Hall Master's strength will be quite terrifying. In the future, you must be more careful and not be careless. Yunchujo nodded and said curiously, what do you think is recorded in the second half of the sheepskin scroll? I always feel that the secrets contained in it are even more shocking than the first half. Di Baiming naturally did not know what was recorded in the second half of the scroll, but he felt a little uneasy. Why did little Jiu always encounter some strange things? Why did little Jiu's blood contract with Yun Yi? He recalled Qi Ying's words that the two of them were enemies in their previous lives, and he could not help but tighten his arms around Yunchujo. No matter what would happen, he would not separate from little Jiu, and no one could separate them. Yunchujo was so smart. Seeing Di Baiming's expression and behavior, he could guess what he was thinking. He lightly pecked on the corner of his mouth and said, no matter what will happen in the future, we will never separate. If you dare to betray me, I will castrate you. A certain someone's face was stiff, and he subconsciously tightened his legs. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53:53. Although a certain someone felt that his wife was too fierce, he also felt that she was so cute and playful. He felt that there was an 80% chance that his brain was damaged. However, when he saw such a fierce Hei Shinjo, the uneasiness in his heart disappeared because he believed that no matter what happened, his little wife would never give up on him. It was really good. He could not help but kiss Hei Shinjo again. Hei Shinjo pouted and complained, you only know how to take advantage of me. I'm talking business with you, business? He thought. Having sex was the most important business. Damn go away Batsao. Suppressing the urge to tear Hei Shinjo apart and eat her up, he said, I'm here to remind you not to attend the Chongshao Gala. He knew Hei Xinjia's personality too well. She would always stir up trouble whenever she was free. It would be weird if she did not go to such a lively event like the Great Firmament Territory Assembly. Therefore, as soon as she got the news, she rushed to stop her. Hei Shinjo rolled her eyes. My idol, I have to go to the Great Firmament Territory Assembly. Before Di Baiming could speak, she continued, firstly, I'm not the same as I was in the past. Although my cultivation is not the best, it's not bad either. I can protect myself. Secondly, I've already provoked the bitter Zen sect and the Qi family to have some small conflicts with the Divine Devil Hall. If I continue to stir up trouble at the Grand Firmament Gathering, I might be able to stir up the situation even more. Thirdly, I might be able to gain something from seeing the Divine Devil Hall's lair in the Great Firmament Continent. After all, our battle with the Divine Devil Hall has just begun. Only by knowing ourselves and our enemies can we survive 100 battles. Moreover, don't we still have you? I'm in the open while you're in the dark. This way, the Divine Devil Hall will be able to take care of one thing and lose the other. It will be advantageous for us to find a suitable opportunity to strike. Even though Yunchujo was telling the truth, Di Baiming still did not relent. No matter what, he would not allow her to participate in the Chongshao Convention. This was because the Chongshao Convention was clearly a conspiracy. How could he bear to let her take the risk? However, in the end, a certain someone was sobbed by Hei Shinjo. Sigh. A certain someone sighed. He just couldn't bear to see her tears. Although he knew that he shouldn't agree, he still couldn't bear to let her continue crying. Seeing that a certain someone had relented, Hei Shinjo immediately broke into a smile. Prince Charming, don't worry. Only Old Fox and Lan Di Meo know that I broke through to the peak of level 6 of the Spirit Extinguisher realm. Even Lang Yun and the others don't know what my cultivation is. When the time comes, I'll adjust my cultivation to the second level of spirit extinguisher. I'll pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger and play with those dregs to death. Di Biming looked at her eyes that were as bright as the stars and felt his heart beat rapidly. He wished that he could hide the person in front of him and not let anyone see him, so that he wouldn't be coveted by others. However, there was still the great worry of the Divine Devil Hall and many unknown dangers. Both he and little Jiao couldn't stop moving forward. Although it was already very late, the two of them could not bear to go to sleep. This was because they did not have much time to spend together. They did not want to waste even a quarter of an hour. In the end, it was only after Di Biming promised to leave 2 days later that Yun Shujiao finally fell asleep in his arms. Due to Di Biming's presence, Butt Face and the rest were extremely obedient. They were afraid that if Sha Xing was unhappy, he would kill them. Yun Shujiao looked at their cowardly expressions and said sourly, "Male god, although you are Xingzun, I am the ghost ancestor and demon ancestor, right? Why are Butt Face and the others afraid of you but not of me? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 53-54. When Di Biming saw her angry look, he couldn't help but smile. "I don't know why it happened either. If you want to know the reason, you can ask Butt Face and the others." Yun Shujiao immediately made Butt Face, Goei Batsao, and Buddha's candle stand in a row and asked, "What do you think is the reason?" The three of them glanced at each other, but no one said anything. Yun Shujiao was furious when she saw this. This was a blatant act of going against her. She pointed at Butt Face with her finger. "You speak first." Why did she let Butt Face speak first? It rolled its eyes and immediately said obsequiously, "Little fairy, it's not that I'm not afraid of you, but that I'm closer to you. In front of people close to me, I can't help but be a little presumptuous. In fact, I'm very afraid of you." Although Yun Shujiao felt that it was lying, she had to say that this scheming dog was getting better at talking. Yun Shujiao decided to let Dog 2 off. She looked at Buddha's candle and said, "Clown candle, speak." Buddha's candle did not have Dog 2's scheming and eloquence. It stuttered, because compared to you, my cultivation level is higher than yours, and am also more dignified than you. Yun Shujiao, it pierced her heart. It was too piercing. This clown candle was saying that she was a useless snack without dignity. Very well, she would remember it. Butt Face, who was standing at the side, was overjoyed. This Buddha's candle was really stupid. But it was no wonder. It was just a candle wick, so it naturally did not have so many tricks up its sleeve. Yun Shujiao glared at the Buddha's candle with a gloomy face, then looked at the kneeling Goei Batsao. Goei Batsao knew that it was not favored by a certain someone, so in order to avoid the fate of being scattered again, it felt safer to kneel. When it saw that Yun Shujiao asked about it, the fellow shook its leaf, indicating that it could not speak. At this time, the fellow was extremely glad that it could not speak, or else it would not get any benefits no matter what it said. Yun Shujiao glared at it and released Hun Dun. Although Hun Dun had grown a layer of short fur, it was still wearing its beloved, green sweater. When it heard Yun Shujia's question, its eyes that had no eyeballs flashed and said, "I don't know how old other people are, but I instinctively feel that he is very dangerous, so I don't dare to provoke him." Hun Dun originally wanted to say, "Lao Zi," but when he saw a certain deity's cold gaze, he forcefully swallowed his words. Yun Shujiao felt that Hun Dun's answer was more reliable. Demonic beasts were naturally sensitive to danger. In that case, other than the identity of Xingzun, the pretty boy must have other identities. What exactly was it? Yun Shujiao rewarded Hun Dun with an exquisite comb. Then, she did not bother with these silly cuties, but started talking to Di Biming. Hun Dun took the hairbrush and happily combed his remaining long hair. He felt that he was very beautiful. Go-Wei Batsao, Butt-Face and Buddha's candle were instantly unhappy when they saw Hun Dun's smug look. A fool who treated a cuckold as his treasure actually wanted to compete with them for his pet. He was really courting death. Hence, for the first time, the three of them worked together to take care of Hun Dun. For a moment, the courtyard was in chaos. Due to the loud noise, a certain lord could not hear He Xinjia's words clearly. His face immediately darkened. Shut up. Immediately, the four of them were as quiet as chickens. Go-Wei Batsao even knelt on the ground. It was never wrong to have a good attitude. Yun Shujiu could not help but feel a little frustrated. Was this her spiritual pet or the spiritual pet of the gigolo? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-55 Spiritual pets were used for battle. Baiming glanced at them and summoned the little yellow dragon. Then, he said to Yun Shujiu, your contract with them is not for fun. It's for battle. You can't let them have too much control. The little yellow dragon's cultivation is higher than theirs because I'm more strict with them. The little yellow dragon looked at the four on the ground with an arrogant expression, but it felt extremely bitter in its heart. If it had known that it was following a cold-blooded pervert, it would have acknowledged this little girl as its master no matter what. Even if it acknowledged Shui Wuji, it would still be stronger than the pervert in front of it. Why did its cultivation level increase so quickly? That was because it would have died tens of thousands of times if it hadn't increased its cultivation level. This fiend really did not care about its life and death. It directly threw it into a group of demonic beasts and left it to fend for itself. If it was not for its tough skin and thick flesh, it would have died long ago. When Yun Shujiu saw that the little yellow dragon's cultivation was actually about the same as hers, she immediately looked at the four on the ground and the group of people in the spirit beast pouch that were not pleasing to the eye. The pretty boy was right. She was too soft-hearted. She was too protective. That was why these people were so weak. She had to think of a way to train them. Butt-Face blinked his dog eyes and felt that he had to say something. Otherwise, he was afraid that his life would be worse than death for the rest of his life. That little fairy, there's some misunderstanding here. The Divine Dragon clan's combat strength is already stronger than other demon beasts. Moreover, the venerable spirit beast is an ice dragon. This is very beneficial to the little lecherous dragon that he has contracted with. And your spiritual beast was previously that dumbass, De Hua. Now, it's the weirdo, Go-Wei Batsao. So, it's understandable that we're so weak. Go-Wei Batsao was immediately unhappy. You're a weak chicken, yet you still want to cheat on me? Shameless. It directly sent Butt-Face flying with a leaf of grass. Baiming did not blame Go-Wei Batsao this time, because he felt that Butt-Face needed to be whipped. He only knew how to find objective reasons, but he did not look for his own reasons. No wonder for such a long time, the majestic ancient ferocious beast had no ability other than its mouth. He thought for a moment and said, right now, the divine devil hall's energy is mostly used in planning the great firmament feast. They won't send people to chase me for the time being. I'll accompany you to bring these idiots to train. Only when they become stronger will they be able to help you. I can also feel at ease. Yun Shujiu could not wait to spend more time with Baiming, so she immediately agreed. Butt-Face, who was limping in, suddenly felt that there was no hope for beast life. It's over, it's definitely going to suffer. Yun Shujiu immediately sent a voice transmission talisman to the Lan family's patriarch, saying that she would go out for a walk with Baiming for 2 days. The patriarch of the Lan family did not say anything, only telling her to be careful. Baiming and Yun Shujiu chose to train in the Chasing Sun Forest, which was only a day's journey away from the imperial city. Even if there was danger, the two of them could still retreat back to the imperial city. Yun Shujiu released all the dumb cuties, saying that each of them had to kill 3 demonic beasts that met the conditions, or else they would be punished. Forget about the other dumb cuties, but Face was worried to death. It only knew how to make noises. Was it going to kill 3 demon beasts? But Face, why don't you beg me? Maybe I'll be kinder and help you kill 3 demon beasts. Hun Dun looked at it proudly and said. Although its fur hadn't grown yet, with the green sweater, the side effects of the fruit sprinting were much better. It was not a problem to kill 3 demon beasts. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53-56. But Face, who received He Xinjia's true teachings, hearing Hun Dun's words, but Face's eyes immediately lit up. Brother Hun Dun, I knew you were the most loyal. You are indeed a strange male with green light. Pfft. He Xinjiu burst into laughter. A strange male with green light? How could it say that? She did not expect Hun Dun to find what but Face said very pleasing to the ear. He said proudly, you know your place. If you comb my long hair for 3 months, I will help you catch 3 demon beasts. How about it? Just as Butt Face was about to agree, a cold voice sounded, you have to finish it with your own ability. Otherwise, I will throw you into the beast lair directly. Butt Face was both afraid and hateful, but he did not dare to talk back. He could only look at He Xinjiu imploringly. But Face was only a puppy at the moment. His big wet eyes were begging, which could easily make people's hearts soften. If it were in the past, Yunchujo would definitely help it plead for mercy. But now, she felt that a jade that was not polished would not become a good thing, so she pretended not to see it. Seeing that Yunchujo did not respond, but Face could only turn back 3 times and walk into the depths of the chasing sun forest. An hour later, the silly cuties returned one after another. Yunchujo counted and found that one was missing. It was Butt Face. Could it be that this guy was in some kind of danger? Just as Yunchujo was worried, she saw Butt Face swagger back with a bunch of demonic beasts. Yunchujo couldn't believe her eyes. How did this guy do it? Butt Face looked smug and said to the demonic beasts behind him, hurry up and kneel to the little fairy. Otherwise, not only you, but also your kids will die. When the demonic beasts heard this, they indeed knelt on the ground and begged for mercy in fear. Yunchujo, Di Baiming's face stiffened. Why was this scene so strangely familiar? It seemed that this Butt Face had received the true teachings of his little wife. Yunchujo was also dumbfounded. She asked with her divine sense, Butt Face, what's going on? Butt Face immediately said with his spiritual sense, little fairy, you know that I'm just a weak chicken. I can't hunt demon beasts at all. But I had an idea. I followed your usual practice and fooled these demon beasts. Yunchujo, should she cry or laugh? How did you fool them? It's very simple. I scared them. Little fairy, you and your majesty brought many perverts to hunt demonic beasts. If they don't follow me and kneel down to you, not only will they lose their lives, even their little cubs will die. They believe you just because you said so? Yunchujo asked suspiciously. I brought them to watch the white tiger's hunting scene, and they were terrified. What is this called? Yes, a fox uses the tiger's power. It's also called taking advantage of the situation. Ha ha ha. Little fairy, am I very smart? Butt Face was very smug. Yunchujo, why did she feel that Butt Face's style was so friendly? And so familiar? Di Baiming watched from the side. Although he didn't know what the two were talking about, he had a pretty good guess. He said calmly, Little Joe, this test isn't difficult for them. Just throw them into the beast nest. Yunchujo couldn't bear it, but she gritted her teeth and agreed when she thought of the little perverted dragon's cultivation. Hence, Di Baiming threw the dumb cubs into different beast nests. Yunchujo was worried about Butt Face, so she quietly hid in the dark to observe. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.